This is Hammond.
And Jessica.
And you're listening to the Friendly Atheist podcast. A slightly delayed edition, but we're good now. Happy end of the year.
Happy end of the year. Happy 250th episode.
Hey, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Congrats.
It's very exciting.
And we're doing a year of review of everything.
Yeah, I think we've called it Shit Year in Review in the past.
That's not what I wrote on the...
What did you write?
2018 in review.
Well,
that's not what I wrote on SoundCloud. But there you go. And I didn't do any research. You're on this.
Yeah, this has been Jessica Total Tip, which is another reason that we're late.
There's no timestamps here because I know a million things you're gonna talk about.
Yeah, I've got 5 pages of notes.
I'm not putting any notes and timestamps on this one. Feel free to jump around. I don't know. You'll find stuff.
Why don't you just encourage people to
listen all the way
like a regular
through?
human?
Oh, by the way, go to patreon.com/Friendly Atheist Podcast. Give us stars. It's the end of the year. Why are you holding back your reviews?
Maybe your New Year's
awesome?
Resolution should be supporting podcasts that you like.
Damn,
like
and that implies that this is one of them.
One would assume.
Before I forget.
Oh, okay. I was going to do it before.
Boom.
You got me a present!
I got you a present.
Screamed.
You're damn right. I waited till I started recording to give you the thing.
Well, because I got him the microphone. Okay, so it's like book-shaped.
You're
It's
welcome.
flat. It's
You're
wrapped
welcome.
really nicely, shockingly competently.
Damn it. I'm not totally incompetent.
Well, it says ho a lot.
Well, it
Not
seemed
necessarily-
appropriate. Saw it, thought of you, had to get it for you.
It's my own personal shit list.
It's a whole notepad full
a
of
notepad.
your shit list.
So it has offender violation plan of attack,
You can leave that for anybody.
severity 1 through 5, whether it's a friend, stranger, lover, family, or other driver. This is excellent. Thank you.
It'll come into use, I figured.
I really think it will. I'm going to start keeping a shit list for every episode we record.
Nice.
And then that will just be like a nice...
We'll just culminate it at the end of the year.
A nice cap. Oh, thanks, buddy.
You're welcome.
That's very nice. I just came back today from a trip to Kentucky and Nashville, Louisville, Kentucky. And if you don't fuck off. If you don't follow me on Twitter, my best friend lives in Kentucky. She was on this show. Her name is Leslie, and so we try to visit each other a couple times a year, and so we decided to take a trip to Nashville. So we drove down to Nashville, found a random place for dinner, went to get a drink, and I went into a full-fledged panic attack because Jon Favreau from Pod Save America and his wife sat in front of me.
Was that totally coincidence?
The funny thing is, like, it was a random...
I saw this picture on your social media. I'm like, I love that guy. I listened to The Wilderness, that podcast he produced, and I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, did you see that shit-eating grin on my face? I was so fucking happy.
I thought you went to some podcast
No.
didn't tell
I just
me.
ran into him at this restaurant. Yeah, I go to a lot of podcast shit without you. I just saw him at a restaurant, did some like grade A creeping to figure out whether he was a natural. He wasn't, but I saw a picture of his wife and recognized her. Grade A creep. And
you, not him.
Me.
Yes.
No, yeah, me for sure.
Yeah.
And then like his in-laws sat down and I was like, okay, we're going to finish our drinks and then I'm going to say something. Because if it was like a movie star or somebody, I probably wouldn't say anything. But the Pod Save America podcast and Jon Favreau have been truly influential on not just me, but I think the sort of political climate of young Democrats. So I wanted to say something. Immediately called him John Lovett. Like immediately, which is his co-host. It's not my fault they have two Johns and I was in a full-on tizzy.
You can't tell white people apart.
It was honestly like I haven't slept since. I keep thinking about it. And
so what did he say?
He could not have been nicer. I just said like very briefly like thank you so much, and I explained to him that I showed him the picture of me meeting Lauren Underwood when we were canvassing for her, and about my friend and I went canvassing. We never would have done that if we hadn't been encouraged by them. Told him a brief... I was talking extremely fast, so it sounds like I said a lot, but it took 42 seconds. Just said that my friend and I were going canvassing, and a buddy joined us who was like nervous to go, and then he ended up being like a big like volunteer on Sean Casten's campaign, and just sort of thanked him for the work they're doing because I think it's really great. I also I got a contact to see if I can set up an interview while I'm in LA.
Oh, look at you!
That doesn't feel like it's gonna happen, but I'm gonna try. He did give me an email contact, and his wife said he'd remember me forever as the person who called him John Lovett, and I said, "Cool, don't worry, I'm literally never gonna like." I was listening to their podcast and just like wanted to bang my head. Like he thought it was very charming. I literally wanted to jump out the window. Anyway,
awesome.
It was genuinely, we karaoke'd for 4 hours at Santa's Pub. It was, and then the next day, Leslie and I were getting food, and 2 women came up. They're like, "Are you Jess and Leslie?" And we're like, "Yeah." And they remembered us from karaoke the night before.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was real.
I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
Nobody knows for sure.
To be locally famous about.
It was genuinely some of the most fun I've had in quite a long time. It was, and so thank you for indulging me in being late. I decided to stay another night with Leslie because I didn't want to do Nashville to Louisville and then Louisville to Chicago. That's quite a long
trip.
Yeah, so I drove up this morning.
All right, tell me what.
Okay, let's go. Okay. Kate and I, my friend Kate, always shout out to Kate McDonald. She helps me with this every year. She's my friend from Boston. And every year we're like, this happened this year? And so there was a lot of like that G-chatting back
they're
and
like,
forward.
Black Panther came out this year. I'm like, that there's no way.
Yeah, sure did. Don't worry, I'll get to it. Okay, so January 2018. Do you remember those days?
No.
We were young and naive. The year out started with a couple. I have a couple Trump tweets in the beginning, and then I got rid of them because fuck them. But his first couple tweets of the year involved him doing like a dick metaphor with his button, like my button's bigger than Kim Jong-un's. So that was cool and dignified. He also called himself a very stable genius in January. That was January. Do you remember the false alert that happened in Hawaii?
That was this year too.
So in Hawaii, somebody accidentally sent an alert saying that a bomb was like something.
Yeah, because the coding
disaster
was badly
imminent.
made that you could have.
And so
switched one for the other.
People in Hawaii for 30 minutes, I think, thought they were literally like about to be. It was horrifying. Yeah. Trump went for a little golf trip on MLK Day. January also featured federal shutdown #1. State of a Union address. Remember when he could read coherently for 25 minutes, and everyone was like, "Wow, he's
presidential."
Sure, presidential.
Uh-huh.
What a brave man.
Yes.
Let's go to good shit. So this is always divided into good shit and bad
yes.
shit. Sometimes it's really hard to decide what goes where. We're all learning our lesson together. Guess what happened in January? Al fucking Franken resigned. In January of this Gregorian year.
What?
Yeah. Fire and Fury was published by Michael Wolff.
Okay, that I remember this year.
Yeah.
Because at least those books had short life cycles. Mm-hmm. So I get that. I'm shocked the Al Franken thing happened this year.
Isn't it? I mean, the accusations, I think, all happened
right before
in 2017,
then, but he officially stepped down.
Yep.
Without an official investigation, and I remember when that happened, we had this discussion. I think Democrats in general had the discussion of, was that the right move? Because what he did wasn't as egregious as some other people, but it wasn't okay.
And
so what do you do? But it was like, well, they're appointing Tina Smith in his place. She's a Democrat. She's fine.
Right.
I think she just won re-election. Am I wrong about that? But she's been fine. She's not a standout.
No, she's been fine. It's not like
she's not famous as a Democrat.
And we did have this conversation in the end of last year, or the beginning of this year, of would we have felt different if there was a Republican governor in place?
Right.
Because they would have
appointed somebody totally different.
Right.
No, they appointed another liberal who fits that mold.
Right.
And again, so it's like, I miss having that voice, but like there are plenty of other ones who have popped up since then.
And I do. How do I phrase this? I'm not happy this happened. I'm not happy Al Franken turned out to be like not such a good guy. I am relieved that something happened to the Democrats of this regard, so we can say, see, when it happens to us, we take care of it. So it's not just like, oh, a Republican senator is a garbage person, and we're like, fire them. They need to step down. We do, we talk the talk, but we also walk the walk. Right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Kirsten Gillibrand led that charge, and she is one of the people there who's going to throw her hat in the ring for 2020.
The Stormy Daniels interview was published this year.
Was
Stormy Daniels
she
came
in
onto
the
the American
news?
Lexicon. I think this was
like,
her first.
Really?
Or at least her first like big push into public. Also in January, this is still good shit. In January 2018, 4 Republican representatives announced their retirement. I meant to keep track of it through the whole year, but it was just a fucking domino effect, right? Of just.
I wonder how many more will go by 2020. Not people who are going to lose, people who are going to decide.
Just resign.
I'm not going to face the voters.
Right.
I just want to leave. And
Yeah.
why would they do it in 2020 when they could have done it in 2018 when at least Republicans had a better shot? You figure if it's like a wave election again in 2020 with the Democrat president on the ballot and the chance to defeat Trump, it's harder for House Republicans in general.
But I mean, ostensibly, these representatives who announced their retirement were up for re-election in 2018. If you're not up for re-election in 2018, like if you're up for re-election in 2020, you're not going to announce that you're...
No. I'm wondering who decided, you know what, I'll stick around in the Republican minority for 2 years in the House.
Oh, I see.
But you know what, 2020, I think this is the time to go. Like if you wanted to go, 2018 would have been the year to go if you're a Republican. Oof. But I'm very curious to see how many more quote-unquote retirements follow.
So the Golden Globes were in January. Do you remember all the stars showed up wearing black because of the Me Too movement? So all these people were in black in solidarity. They were all wearing these pins that said "Time's Up," which was maybe slightly hollow of a gesture, but not nothing. And I appreciate symbols have meaning, so that was good. Oprah, do you remember this? She gave a very good speech, and people were like, Oprah 2020, and everyone else was like, could we just like fucking chill for a minute on this? Let's see what else happened. I thought Kate. Oh, also I should say Kate and I did this at the same time, so a lot of this stuff it's the first time I'm reading it. Yeah. RGB, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she hired law clerks through 2020, which symbolizes she's like staying the.
She's planning for the long haul.
Yep.
Which does not surprise me, though. I thought I read that Anthony Kennedy, who retired, had also hired law clerks for the foreseeable future. And people were like, well, if he's doing that, does it mean anything? And the answer was, no. They hire them because you got to hire them.
Yeah. I would also like to talk more about Kennedy. I have it in here, and I think we're going to talk about it a little bit more. Oh, also, as always, Garbage Year in Review, sponsored by wine. Yeah. And Jessica Guzzling.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. Well, we were supposed to record at 5, haven't showed up a half hour early, which is cool. It's fine.
You're welcome.
He has human children. That's why I made him set everything up.
My schedule is not set.
And he was very flexible. I did stay an extra day in Kentucky for no specific reason.
How dare you have fun?
Ugh, it was the fucking best. Still in January, bad shit. Head of the CDC stepped down because she owned tobacco stocks. Do you remember this happening?
Vaguely.
Like, the corruption is...
The swamp.
Amazing. Dolores O'Riordan.
The Cranberries singer.
Yeah, the Cranberries died in January, which is... God, I can't... So sad. Trump used his new catchphrase, shithole countries.
That was January?
January of this year, sir. Tide Pod Challenge also happened this year. God, baby boomers love that shit. Oof.
As someone who works with high school kids, that's not a thing.
No.
Never
it's
was.
super not. And like, let's not pretend that we all didn't do dumb shit when we were in high school. My classmates snorted pixie sticks. What did your classmates do?
I remember that.
Their math homework? Whoa!
Just because I'm brown.
Nerd check.
Just because. We did, damn it. You don't understand my friend circles.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, and I also get that like baby boomers need something to be angry about because that's sort of their whole generation's like
millennials
steez.
Are bad,
yeah,
ruining this and that.
And so I really liked when like the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas kids were like trying to fix things and make sure their peers didn't get murdered. They were like, "Go eat a Tide Pod." That's how baby boomers.
That is how they talk
in my head. God, shit. Kate, I completely forgot about this. Do you remember that 13 siblings were found chained to their beds in California?
No.
You don't remember this?
Go on.
I mean, that's all.
That's all we have?
I have a spreadsheet. I don't have
remember this.
You don't. Okay, so in California, I mean, that's what it was. There were 13 siblings, and they were like held captive at their house, and their parents, one of them escaped, or a couple of them escaped, and then it turned out their parents are fucking lunatics. And
glad they escaped.
yeah, the parents were charged.
Good.
Oh, also, Larry Nassar was found guilty, and he was given 175 years. Did you watch those trials?
All those women speaking out and giving their testimonies.
That trial was incredibly powerful. It was very, very hard to watch.
They're still feeling the fallout from all that. The people who knew it and did nothing.
Yeah, just recently, I want to say the president of
Michigan?
The president of Michigan. President of Kingdom, Michigan.
Yes.
No, yeah, the president of University of Michigan. The president or the president
Somebody.
of sports balls.
Yes, athletic director.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
It was one of those that retired or was fired. I don't know. But yeah, this is definitely shaken up the foundation up there. So that is January 2018. Oh, I'm sorry. I did do a thing this year that I haven't done in the past. January 2018, there were 22 mass shootings. So you can look forward to that continuing segment throughout this evening. Mm-hmm. Do you have a hard out you have to do?
No.
Okay, cool. I feel bad. I feel less bad making you wait while I finish my notes.
No. You're fine.
The flu was particularly bad in 2018, February. As of the end of February, there were 60 deaths, which hasn't happened in a minute. Hey, guys, get your flu shot. Mm-hmm. It's called propaganda. Trump requested his military parade.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that was a fun, neat.
I think he's still advocating for that.
I was skimming through headlines.
Once the shutdown ends.
Well, he canceled it because it cost too much, but he blamed Democrats on it costing too much, I think, which is a skill for sure. Everything is our fault. So yeah, this is also when the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas high school shooting happened. 17 died in that, and it was, I think it rocked the country in a way nothing has in a long time.
More so than other shootings, yes.
Yeah.
I wish I could say it did more, but here's what I know. There have been a bunch of states that actually took gun control measures.
Yes.
After all that. That's good.
Yeah, and I guess when I say I think also the survivors from that school would not let them be cycled out of the news.
Yeah. And that was impressive.
It was incredibly savvy. It was mature. It was brave.
And kind of sad because they knew damn well.
They
we
knew.
know we won't be in the news, so we're going to make sure that while we have the spotlight here, that we make the most of it. And they did.
Do you know why I ended up doing the number of mass shootings per month? Is because when I was skimming through the headlines because I just look through the headlines and then I look at our notes. Looking through the headlines, I would start writing them down. I was like, I can't write down every single mass shooting. There were 22, because, the headlines obviously hit. Not always. Or the headline is three mass shootings in 2 days.
Right. It's not good when we have so many mass shootings that only one of them stood out this month.
Right. Billy Graham died.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was reading a bunch of the Christian websites who did the retrospectives, best of the year, whatever, most influential articles, the ones everyone
Best
read.
of the year, Billy Graham's dead.
Their review of the year, but obviously that came up again because that was the stuff a lot of Christians wanted to read. And again, I think it tells you a lot that all these evangelicals said they revered this guy. They appreciated him and not worshipped him, right? But the whole thing about Billy Graham, at least superficially, it's that he was non-political or apolitical. He would help everybody, he said. He was not someone to wade into the culture wars. He was just like, well, I like Jesus. Let me tell you about Jesus. And that's the thing they all liked about that guy. And yet his son represents Franklin Graham.
The worst of it.
The worst of evangelical Christianity, the Trump-loving, we're going to push for bad policy, or we're going to let Trump off the hook for all of his bad policies because there's something bigger in play. There's no week that goes by where Franklin Graham hasn't said or done something just horrible.
Right.
And it's it tells you so much about evangelical Christianity that they claim to love Billy Graham and they will miss him. And yet, white evangelical Christians have really boarded onto the Franklin Graham train, which is nothing like his father's. And evangelical Christianity is worse off because they're following the son and not the father.
Well, and I think that's ironic considering Christianity. There were 3 major deaths that happened in 2018. I won't spoil the other. I'm sorry. There were 3 major deaths that I think got. So it was Billy Graham, John McCain, George Bush, who I think all were mourned by the nation en masse as a symbol of. Not simpler time, but a more
bipartisan, respectable.
Yeah, exactly. More civil.
That's at least the first line. That's the perception.
That's the perception, and I
don't buy it. But that is the perception.
100%. Because the reality is, even the Billy Grahams of the world didn't have everybody's best interests at heart, and maybe was, I
mean, one of the things I remember we talked about when Billy Graham died is that he was anti-Semitic. He said things that were just awful and cringeworthy, which he kind of apologized for later in his life, but he did say it.
And it's not like he's just even on Fox News saying it. He's whispering, like, he's a very, like, Rasputin-like character. Like, he has the ear of the president. And to me, that makes me kind of uncomfortable that, like, one non-elected person is his mainstay. Why does he get that? Okay, moving on. Where are we? February. Billy Graham dies. Oh, okay. Good shit in February. The White House ate a lot of the good shit this year. And the reason that these columns are long is usually it's just people getting fired.
Yeah.
So White House aide Rob Porter resigned after his 2 ex-wives alleged abuse. That was this year.
Yeah, we saw pictures of their eyes and stuff like that.
It was fucked.
Yeah. I thought I read he might be making a comeback in the administration.
You could have not said anything that surprised me less.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely. Yeah, of course he is. There's no consequences to white men. Remember? February 2018 marked the beginning of a huge wave of teacher walkouts. It started in West Virginia, spread to Arizona, Colorado, Oklahoma, Kansas.
And a bunch of them ran for office by the end of 2018, and they won.
Yeah, Kentucky, North Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, and Washington. 2 largely good results. I can't speak to numbers, but I know there was a couple.
I mean, Republican governors caved big time on all of those protests because why are you pissing off teachers and not paying them whatever they're worth? I mean, we're in Illinois where teachers are not paid the worst in the nation. It's not great, as any teacher will tell you, but like where it's worse and you're getting paid significantly worse and it's hard to find qualified teachers. When the good ones walk out.
Yeah.
And
that was a major problem. I think that was what a lot of people said in Oklahoma is like, I want to be here, but I cannot afford to stay here. I can't afford to work here. So that was a nice union moment. Again, Black Panther happened this year.
It happened this year.
Who'd have thought? The Winter Olympics happened this year.
Don't remember them.
American.
At all. I couldn't tell you a thing that happened in the Winter Olympics.
Well, I watched them.
Yeah, what happened in them?
Well, I had a really good costume.
Oh, good.
Okay, so what I remember, so my friend Leslie, who was just down visiting, she and her boyfriend drove up from Kentucky through a fucking blizzard. Because I usually have an Olympics party.
Right.
And there was a major blizzard, and my sweet friend Leslie, I think, underestimated. She's from Kentucky. She doesn't understand what a blizzard is. So she dangerously drove up to meet me. But like my brother, I have a couple of friends who live in the city who couldn't come. I have friends who live in Naperville who could. They're like, we just can't leave our house. So that's what I remember. Adam Rippon and Chloe Kim are people that Kate highlighted for me. I think Adam Rippon is a
skater, because I've heard his name, but I don't know what he did.
Oh, North Korea participated. Remember, the Koreas unified under the one banner. There was a lot of that kind of thing. Oh, this is kind of not a big story, but so when I was writing for the blog, one of the biggest stories I wrote was about this man named Josh Weed, who's a Mormon, and said, I'm gay, but I'm choosing to ignore that. And I'm married to a woman. We have 2 beautiful children. I'm very happy.
Yeah.
So that would have been 2012. So this year he said he and his wife split. It sounded like it was very amicable. But like, I'm very happy that this man is finding a path that's happier for him and feels emboldened to do so. Mass shootings, 14 for February. So
it's a short month.
Yeah, it is a short month, down a tick. Okay, Kate, you're fired. You can't give me names I can't pronounce. Hubert de Gavinci. He died in March. He created the little black dress. That's a Kate McDonald special. Do you have any thoughts?
Black dress?
Oh, a little black dress is like, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's just like a woman's staple in her wardrobe.
Oh.
It's just a simple black dress that
that needed to be invented?
I don't know. I don't understand. I'm wearing a sweatshirt that my brother's girlfriend stole from a lost and found of a high school. Do you think I'm comfortable with fashion?
I didn't know a black dress is something that
it is like a wardrobe
this guy came along.
Yeah. Well, he's dead. Have some respect.
All right.
Stephen Hawking died in March.
That was March.
Does that not feel like 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Hope Hicks resigned. Remember?
And again, now she's working for Fox News as their spokesperson.
Oh, is she?
Surprise.
Is that just like a tunnel?
Yes.
Okay.
Back and forth.
There was a national... Yeah, it is. It's 2 ways. It's like, in Disney, how like there's like a whole maze of underground tunnels, but it's just the 2 that connect the White House and Fox News.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she resigned. And that was, I remember being a big blow because she was supposed to be like a personal friend of... like close tie with Trump. It wasn't like a business partner.
And like kept him calm or something.
Yeah, she was supposed to be a pretty good in quotes or good in squiggles. Good.
And it turns out he's the exact same with or without her.
Correct. The National Student Walkout happened.
Good.
What was it? Fight for Our Lives?
March for Our Lives.
March for Our Lives. Thank you. Do you remember when Rex Tillerson got fired while he was pooping?
Yeah.
That happened. Andy McCabe, the FBI director, that was when he got fired like a week before he retired, which is such a fuck you move. And then John McEntee. Do you remember this guy? He's like Trump's body man.
Oh.
He got like not just fired, but like marched out of the White House. Like he couldn't get his coat, he couldn't get his jacket, or his bag.
Rachel Maddow, who always had that giant wall of people who have left the administration, it was kind of funny at first, where like it's getting bigger and bigger.
Heavy.
And then she stopped doing it because it became
cumbersome.
I think so.
Yeah. More bad shit from March. Oh, Kim Davis wrote a book and you read it.
I did.
Care to reflect on that poor decision you made?
The best passage was her trying to explain how she's not a hypocrite as a conservative Christian.
Sure.
For saying I'm not going to give marriage licenses to gay couples because, sanctity of marriage, but she's on husband number 4. And she tried to explain how that's okay. And she didn't succeed. But reading that part of the book was probably the most entertaining because, like, just admit you're a hypocrite. Just say, look, I found love now and I didn't know what I was doing before. Whatever. People get married and divorced for a bunch of reasons.
Right.
I'm not judging her on that. I really don't care. I hope she's happy. But this idea that she's trying to rationalize all the previous relationships was just like, just stop. You're not helping your case.
Yeah, it was, it's almost impressive.
And by the way, that explanation involved children out of wedlock, getting back together with someone she divorced. Just admit you're a hypocrite, or that the sanctity of marriage can be flexible,
right?
Depending on what your needs are,
right? Billy Graham's body was in the Capitol, and you were mad about it. Some of these are just from our notes.
They had like a government funeral for him, and they shouldn't. He's a religious leader. He's outside of Christianity. He's not really the sort of political staple that you would, like George Bush, president.
Yeah, he's not a president. He's not a senator.
You give him the funeral. John McCain, the long-serving senator, you give him the state funeral. Billy Graham,
right?
No,
not quite. I think there is an argument to be made again that he should have been there because he was an influential figure, but like, it's not.
I don't think he was influential government-wise. He talked to presidents, he advised them, but he didn't really. I think a lot of presidents probably just like, oh right, I gotta talk to this guy now.
Was he just a hanger-on?
Yeah, I mean, you want to say, well, I have this religious leader at my at my beck and call if I need him, and I can talk to him about stuff. But I don't know that he changed stuff that would have happened anyway.
Right. Okay. Oh, do you remember when Frances McDormand won her Oscar?
No.
She she won an Oscar for Best Actress.
Okay.
For Three Billboards Outside Billing, something Missouri. Fuck me. Wimford, Missouri. Anyway, she had a really dope speech. She had all of the female nominees stand up in the auditorium because again, this night was all about. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if they were black at the Oscars. They did at Me Too, but there were. I don't know. She had all the women stand up, acknowledge them, and then she talked about the ways that we can be better about being inclusive. All the Weinstein accusers went on stage. It was a lot. It was very heavy. A lot. The Lawrence Krauss stuff came out in March. Yeah. Any reflections on that since then?
I still follow his social media stuff, and it looks like nothing's changed on his end. He's still doing pretty much everything, and talks about it as if nothing ever happened. I think the frustrating thing, though I could have seen it coming from a mile away, is that the university said, well, we will do a thorough investigation, and he didn't want that to happen. He made up some excuse about how it's like a witch hunt, and just said, no, I resign. Still making $250,000 for the calendar, for the school year, rather.
Right.
But he's like, I will resign at the end of the year because I don't trust your investigation. So they won't get testimony. They won't get any other statements from people. They won't look into accusations that were made. In his case, that was kind of the best case scenario because now it really is kind of a he said, she said. There won't be an investigation that takes place.
Because nobody's leveling charges at him.
Right. And now he could just walk away saying, man, these people were trying to come after me. But he's still giving talks. He's still doing his thing. And by the way, one thing I have noted is when he says stuff, I kind of look at what people are writing in response. It's all very positive.
Oh, yeah?
It's not like he says, I'm going to give this talk here. Oh, well,
we don't want you.
We don't want you, or
throw tomatoes.
No, very few people, if any, are saying anything like that. So I think that just gets to the heart of you're trying to ruin this man's life by making these accusations. His life seems like it's fine.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed on his end.
Cool.
But now all those people who made accusations and went on the record about it, they nothing's gonna come of that.
Yeah, it's not great.
So,
March mass shootings 18. So we're a little higher than February. Moving on to April, Barbara Bush died. Which that was sort of another interesting. It's always very interesting when somebody of note dies. Yeah. To see, because it seems like there's always two types of reaction. One is put politics aside, a person is dead, revere them, and the other side is Barbara Bush dying doesn't negate what she did in life, and the reality is. She was complicit. And
you don't have to do the hagiographies every time. You could say, hey, this person died. We can be sad about anyone's death. But by the way, let's not forget the stuff they did that wasn't so good.
Being dead doesn't absolve you.
When you're George Bush and you die, your bad actions were seriously consequential.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
We have to talk about that stuff. Barbara Bush, maybe not as much she might have said some stuff, but ultimately...
That was more about surrounding, HIV in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to blame her for whatever her husband did.
No, but, also, let's not pretend she was a saint. You know what I mean? We can recognize her
it's the same people
as
right now who are Melania's fine. Right. She's not the one making the decision. She's okay with everything Donald Trump is doing, and she defends the actions, so don't pretend she's innocent here.
Right.
Same thing with Barbara Bush.
Oh, Avicii, who's somebody you've never heard of.
Singer dude?
Yes.
Look at me.
Oh my God. Do you know his song?
No.
It's a very good song. I actually like it a lot. He died by suicide in April.
Wait, he's dead?
Jesus, Emmett. Why do you think I was bringing him up?
I have no idea.
I said, in the order was Barbara Bush died, and then do you know who Avicii is?
I didn't know that was where this was going.
Yeah. Yep.
All
Yep. Vern Troyer died this year, too.
Oh, mini-me.
Yeah. He was on... You didn't watch reality TV in, like, the early aughts, did you? You're
Only
too,
Survivor.
Oh, that's right. What are you doing? Are you crinkling something?
I'm eating something.
You can't eat on the mic.
I'm gonna do what I want.
You're such a dick. I heard that. I literally thought Dottie was getting into something, and she's asleep over there. And she will not. She will not be blamed for your shortcomings anymore.
Can I tell you what I watched that you will be so proud of me for on Netflix over the weekend? Bandersnatch.
Did you?
The Black Mirror one.
Wow, I haven't even watched that yet.
I enjoyed it.
I was hanging out with John Favreau, so
Yeah,
sorry.
Or was it John
And you liked it? Wait, have you watched the other Black?
I've seen smatterings of episodes
Wait,
here
let
and
me
there.
pluralize it. Funny,
Yeah.
the Black Smear.
Nice.
I just really like pluralizing.
I've seen random episodes here and there, but I sat
It was
through Bandersnatch. It was fun. I liked how they did it.
Is it feature length?
Yeah, it seemed pretty long. I mean, it depends which path you take. Because this is the choose your own adventure block.
Oh, it's literally a choose your own adventure? Oh,
and
shit.
it was
I'll do that with
impressive.
Mikey
It was
tonight.
seamless. Like,
Really?
you didn't even know they switched things. It just kept going. It was neat.
Okay. I'll have to try that then. That's really cool. I heard it was a choose your own adventure, but I thought it was like conceptually like that, not literally like
I
that.
had fun with it.
Sure.
Like, in the sense that, like, I'm looking at different endings too. It was neat.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to check that out maybe tonight. Cool. How did we get on Black Smear?
Avicii died.
Oh, God damn it. The National Guard was sent to the border. So we were starting to gear up toward their zero tolerance policy that happened over the summer. Flint had a program that they gave free bottled water because you know how their water is poison. So in April they decided to just go ahead and kill that.
Oh yeah.
They're
sounds about right.
They're fine now.
Thanks,
their water
Republican
is
governor.
defo.
Gretchen Whitmer, the new governor, said she's bringing that back, though, right?
Oh well, that is the literal least she can do.
Yeah.
Do you remember when the two black guys got kicked out of Starbucks?
Yes.
Yeah, that happened in April. Our first romaine lettuce recall happened. Which there was a Planet Money about that, and I would recommend it. It's very interesting because it's all about how, because of the nature of like factory farming, it's almost impossible to trace any kind of E. coli outbreak back to its source because there's so many streams of production. It's very interesting if you're into the economy. Mark Zuckerberg testified before Congress. Do you remember when Facebook was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. We gave everybody all of your information. Are you mad?" Or
I think what I remember most about that is the Republican congressperson who was like, "How do you make money on Facebook?" And Zuckerberg's like, "We run ads," with a creepy smile.
fuck me.
Because they don't know how to do technology.
No. What didn't it just happen last week that a senator or congressman didn't know how an iPhone worked?
Yeah, like, how come I can't do this? And he's asking the Google guy about an iPhone. He's like, we're a different company.
Fucking idiots. Oh, I hate baby boomers so much.
By the way, with the House change, this means the House Science Committee will now have a majority of people who actually understand science and accept it. As opposed to all the Republicans who are on there, pretty much all of whom reject it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Sessions issued an order to prosecute everyone who crossed the border illegally. So that was the start of their zero tolerance policy. I think that's part and parcel to. It's really hard when two people do this. So stop reading your fucking phone, Hammett.
I'm looking for something.
This is gripping radio. Hey, Kate, fuck you. Tristan Thomas cheated on Khloe Kardashian, who gave birth to their daughter right after the news broke. How dare you make me read that on air, Kate?
I have no idea what you just said.
Well, it's a Kardashian.
It's a Kardashian. That's the only part I picked up on.
And she was pregnant by somebody whose name is Tristan Thomas. That's not the name he was born with. That's nobody's name. And he cheated on her, and then she gave birth to their daughter. So cool of them. God, Kate, you're not allowed. So after this, going back to the black men getting kicked out of the Starbucks, do you remember they closed? I put 8 locations. It's 8,000 locations for an
Starbucks
afternoon of race training.
Yes.
Which, like, I put it in
and
good
now my
stuff.
Starbucks experiences are much better.
Oh, yeah? Can they spell Hemet right on the first try every time?
No, I still say Bob.
You do not.
Oh, yeah.
Do you literally say Bob?
Yeah.
You can't even say, like, Brian or, like, a name real
Bob.
humans have?
It's my name for every place that asks for a name.
Why don't you say Henry? It's like closer to your name.
Too much work. It's just Bob. And they all know what I'm doing. We play our little game. They're just like
this game
Bob
of mental chess you're playing with the 17-year-old baristas in Naperville.
They just roll their eyes. Bob, your drink is ready. It's like, thank you. Let us walk away and pretend this never happened.
You don't see He-Man tea?
Never.
That would be so massively confusing. Okay. So in April also, so Dick's Sporting Goods, they pulled all of their assault rifles and destroyed them, all the ones that they sold. This also happened to coincide.
Good on them.
Yeah. This also happened to coincide with the brief window of time that I thought I was going to get back into running. So I did buy $120 Nike running shoes that I've worn thrice.
Nice.
They're very cute and very comfortable.
Nice.
Daddy is a very good jogging partner, but running's the fucking worst. It's hard and it hurts everything. And I don't have a good running path around my new house. I've lived here for 2 years. I can't find a good path. Let's see. Oh, Kendrick Lamar won a Pulitzer Prize for his album Damn. Bill Cosby was found guilty, so that's good. And then this was a real blow to the old community. Dave Silverman was fired from the American Atheist.
He's also back on social media, acting like nothing happened.
Yeah, he added me on LinkedIn. I didn't accept. It made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
it was one of those things I saw it and like my stomach dropped.
It's still early to kind of figure out what the reception is to him, because I guarantee you he's not going away. But what he does next and how people perceive it, I think there's still this underlying thing with Krauss and him and whoever else, where it's like, whatever they did wasn't that bad.
So here's what I think is interesting, is I see a lot of hand-wringing about, like, Krauss or Silverman or whomever, like, well, that's his livelihood. What's he supposed to do? When nobody has this same hand-wringing for, like, people who get arrested for minor pot offenses and don't just get fired with no charges on them, but, like, their life is ruined. They can't get a job. They're a fucking ex-felon for having an ounce of pot on them, and nobody's wringing their hands and worried, like, how are they going to get their job? Like, I'm not concerned about these guys. They're big boys. They'll figure their shit out. And if they didn't want to get fired, they shouldn't have been idiots.
American Atheist seems to be doing fine without him. Like, they're continuing on publicly anyway, and their level of activity seems roughly the same. Krauss, I don't know what the University of Arizona or whatever is doing, but again, like, science is doing fine without him. It's not like everything halted to the ground.
Right. That was April. 25 mass shootings in April. Moving on to May, author Philip Roth died. Oh, this is going to be fun. Hey, Hammett, who's Margot Kidder?
Actress?
Known for...
Don't know.
Well, she's dead, so it's an old movie.
Okay.
She's Lois Lane in the original Superman.
Oh.
Supersman. Sorry.
Plurals have failed you.
Just when I was canvassing with my friend Anne, every time we were talking about all the cul-de-sacs we needed to go down, she would always say, and the next two cul-de-sac would be, and it just brought her so much joy, and I've really adopted it as my own to properly or improperly pluralize.
What's the Onion headline? Like, William Sapphire orders 2 Whoppers Jr. Something like that.
That's great. It's so funny. English is a great, fun language.
I want 2 Big Mac. Yeah.
Well, big is technically an adjective and Mac is the noun, but that's
it's
fine.
The whole proper noun. Bring it.
It is the whole proper noun.
Don't at me.
Franklin Graham says Trump's affairs are, quote, none of our business.
Yep.
Heaven, why do we care about what Franklin Graham says about Trump?
Because he's the son of Billy Graham, and he's the unofficial leader of like the white evangelical base that Trump relies on. Oh, that guy. So let me tell you about this guy. I know we're not doing a current events, but Franklin Graham this weekend, in 2016, he made a post where he was like, bathroom bills are good. North Carolina's considering a bathroom bill. Can't
This
let
bathroom
trans
bill
people
refers to trans people
trying to use the right bathroom.
Yeah.
And he's like, this bill, or the critics of this bill, or whatever it was, they're trying to let men who dress like women or say they're women get into women's bathrooms. That is wrong. Like, you're misgendering them. They're not playing like dress up here.
They're not putting like a fake mustache
That was
on.
in 2016. Someone must, or maybe people, flagged that post, marked it as hate speech on Facebook, and over the weekend, his page was taken down from Facebook for 24 hours. That was his punishment for hate speech. He could appeal it, of course, as anyone could. But when he did, and once the 24-hour ban was up, two things happened. First, he's like, I am a martyr. Like, they took my page down because they hate conservatives, when it's the exact opposite. Like, Facebook has a ton of conservatives, or at least the bias is there. And he's like, and Facebook apologized for saying his 2016 thing. Maybe they're bots or whatever, their algorithm. We're sorry that it was marked as hate speech. It wasn't. We apologize. Just letting you know that. And so this morning he was on Fox News saying like, well, I accept their apology because I'm not a hateful person. I just don't think trans people are real. You know what I mean? Like, this guy is just despicable.
They think it's the same thing as I think the only way to be racist is to call somebody the N-word.
Yeah,
they think the only way to be
you
like,
don't see the KKK hood, therefore I'm not racist.
Exactly. Like, they're so fucking literal.
Yeah. Or they're not anti-trans, they're just pro-Jesus or whatever. Anyway, so this whole weekend, the thing that pissed me off, I think, even more than the apology from Facebook, was a local article about the situation said the reporters at the Charlotte Observer or whatever went through the comments on Graham's Facebook page, and everyone supported him. Like,
Based on what?
It's his page.
Wait.
They looked through the comments on Franklin
And what were they
Graham's
doing that for?
to see if people agreed or disagreed with his punishment. They're like, everyone seemed to agree that Facebook was wrong, and Franklin Graham got the short end of the stick.
Baby boomers should not be allowed. They don't understand how Facebook works.
Don't look on his Facebook wall. That's not where you're going to find the criticism. Anyway. I don't like that guy.
No, I know. It's the worst. Oh, did I tell you a couple weeks ago I got zucked for the first time?
What does that mean?
It means I got flagged for hate speech on Facebook.
What did you post?
I posted in the comments thread of a private group I'm in, Men Are Fucking Trash. And I got a little pop-up that said, hey, Jess.
They must have a thing. Fucking trash will pull the trigger.
Yeah. I have seen a couple examples of women typing. I mean, I've seen women do it, of people typing like, women are trash and it's fine, and men are trash and they get flagged for hate speech. So, like, yeah, Facebook, you're fucking nailing it.
Nice.
Really cool as usual.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was the end of April. Did I say the mass shootings? There were 25. Oh, no, there's more. Not more mass shootings. I'm sorry. Bill Cosby was found guilty in April.
We did talk about that.
Did we?
We did.
Cool. I'm one glass of wine into the night. We're in April, so I'm on kind of a quarterly
I think you're on May.
Well, I just finished. Oh, my God, I am on May.
Avicii died.
That happened in April, you idiot. Oh, yeah, because we did Margot Kidder. That's how we kind of spun off a little bit. Oh, Franklin Graham. Weinstein was indicted. Remember the Met Gala in May? Do you remember the theme?
The Bible?
Fashion and the Catholic imagination. Imitation.
Catholics were not happy about that.
Not happy about it at all.
Yeah.
We had some fun with that.
I'm sure we did.
Meghan Markle married Prince Harry. Kate's notes are, longest sermon ever, Oprah. Gospel choir singing Stand By Me. Thank you, Kate.
Michael Curry, the pastor who gave the sermon at the wedding, gave a very nice pro-love sort of sermon. And he was one of the bright spots in a lot of the religion top 10 moments or the biggest moments of the year. Like, here's sad, Catholic Church, everything. Billy Graham died. But Michael Curry delivering that sermon at Meghan Markle, Prince Harry's wedding, that was one of the bright spots, they all said.
Yeah, and it was a really interesting kind of moment in culture, I think. And I'm neither one who follows the royal family in any significant way, nor am I anti the royal family. I just, like, I'm sure if I, like, looked into it too much, I'd probably think they're terrible. But, like, I just don't. I have so many things I'm mad about right now. Like, I just can't add to the top of it. But Meghan Markle is, oh, fuck. I think she's American. She might be Canadian, though. But she's not British, we'll say. I should have really hedged my bets and said she's not British. Hey, Daddy, could you fucking chill? And so it was a really big change for the royal family having, she's biracial.
And it didn't seem like anyone else cared either. They're like,
no,
yay,
I
wedding.
think there seemed to be like some forced caring, like some really, Daddy! Some like really forced hot takes, but like I don't think so. Daddy does a really cool thing where she scratches at the sliding glass door, which is right behind me, which goes to our balcony. She can go fucking nowhere. She doesn't pee or poop out there. She just is an asshole out there. So May, where were we? Meghan Markle, got it. Oh, the Roseanne reboot was canceled because she's trash. That was fun. People got pretty mad about that, and I'm not sure what the pro-Roseanne argument was there. Do you remember she compared a
Valerie Jarrett to a monkey or something?
Like a Planet of the Apes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was not
Hey,
super
she left the
great.
show. The show went on. The show's doing fine.
I thought it was bad.
I mean, it's never as good.
Oh, I
didn't watch it. I don't know.
I mean, I've never watched an episode of Roseanne, despite the fact that my college roommate was a diehard fan. May also, Ireland held a referendum on legalizing abortion.
That was a happy story for the year.
Yeah, it passed 66%, which is wonderfully overwhelming.
Yeah, 66 is basically the percent by which they instituted the ban decades earlier.
Yeah.
So the fact that the numbers had reversed, that shows you how little influence the Catholic Church has over the thinking of Irish people now.
Right. June was rough because in the same couple of days, Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain both died by suicide, which was, that was hard. I think Kate Spade hit a lot of people for a lot of reasons. She's pretty ubiquitous, but I think the Anthony Bourdain thing was especially impactful because he had, and I'm not going to pretend that I was like a diehard fan. I hadn't really seen his show, but a lot of people I respect really respected him. And because he had a reality show, you feel like you get to know a person. I feel like it's very similar to the bond you get with like somebody whose podcast you listen to. Like you listen to them day in, day out, and they're just being themselves. They're not acting. They're just talking. And I...
all the reporters who said they interviewed him were like, he was very giving with his time, very open and honest in a way most people are not, especially at that level of fame.
And I think I hope the lesson people learn from that is that depression does not discriminate against your success, because Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade,
fame and money doesn't fix the other problems.
Yes, by all external measures, were incredibly successful and should have been very happy. And that's not how depression works. And so and for me, that was always a sign of my depression, is that my things could be going really well and I would still hate myself. And like, that was an important thing to, like, not that I'm an expert or whatever, but for me, like, if your moods infrequently reflect your actual circumstances, maybe it's something worth looking into. Like, if you're miserable right as you're about to go on a trip or something like that, that's not great. And it's hard because it feels unreasonable. Anyway, that's my depression sermon for the week. The U.S. Do you remember the U.S. quit the Human Rights Council?
That sounds about right.
Okay. Here's the thing that I remember vividly. I remember where I was when Justice Kennedy announced retirement.
Okay.
That was the Christine Blasey Ford trials and the what's his face?
Kavanaugh.
Well, that was part of the Blasey Ford thing, but the Larry Nassar trials are things I remember very vividly. Whether it's because I was watching the whole thing or just I remember the Kennedy thing being terrifying. Like, it was the first time I was like abjectly terrified for what was coming next, because Kennedy, for better or for worse, was frequently a swing in the Supreme Court.
At least on the couple of social issues that matter.
And he wasn't perfect, and he isn't like...
No, he's a conservative justice that
Right.
happened to get a couple of things right.
Right.
And those couple of things are now really up in the air, probably lost, but like still up in the air. But the thing that happened as soon as he announced his retirement, I think CNN, Jeffrey Toobin was like, all right, about half the states are going to pass laws to overturn abortion in the states.
Yes.
Like
that was exactly what it was.
Or something.
That was
and you're
terrifying.
seeing that happen already. Like,
We're just
even
seeing it in
though
Ohio right now.
even though abortion is still legal federally,
Practically, it's
states are starting to bear down on it.
But even if they technically aren't banning anything, they are practically banning it in the way
Making it
way
really
they've done
hard
for
to
trap
obtain
laws for years of like, oh, the place needs to have a closet big enough to fit XYZ. Like,
just change the rules that
Right.
don't matter medically speaking. But what's scary is that they're like the lawsuit's gonna come to the Supreme Court on these restrictions that are just fake obstacles that anti-abortion people are putting in the way of women who want to get them. It's gonna hit the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
We assume we know which way that's gonna go. And the question is, when that happens, not if, when that happens, what is going to happen at that point? Because how many women need to die before the pro-life people realize they were always focusing on the wrong thing?
they don't care, and they'll never care, because it's not about that. It's as long as people have been getting pregnant, there have been people trying to find ways not to be pregnant. That isn't new. That isn't a new moral failing in the 21st century. It is... Pregnancy is scary and dangerous and ties you to a person for life. And whether by choice, just because you don't want to, or because it's actively dangerous for you, you should always have the option not to be pregnant. I don't give a fuck. You should always... Being pregnant is not something you should take upon lightly. And you should always have the option to not be pregnant anymore. That's that. Fuck everything. Oh, fuck. Do you remember Melania's jacket?
Oh, yeah.
So she was...
I don't really care, do
think
you?
I skimmed over. So where am I, June? In June was when May and June is when the detention center stuff started. So the zero policy that
show baby concentration camps?
Yeah, oof, that was maybe the point that I thought least of the right and the Christian right in particular, when we're like, oh, here's some kids in cages. They're like, well, had they tried not being in cages for once? Like, have they tried staying in war-torn Guatemala? It's beautiful this time of year. Like, their lack of empathy is fucking stunning. Anyway, Melania wore a coat that, and it's from like Zara or some shit. It's like a $40 coat, which I don't know why that makes me the most mad, because girlfriend is not buying off the rack. And it says on the back, I don't really care, do you, as she boards this plane. And what the fuck was that all about? So
again, she's complicit in everything Trump does. She's not making the decisions, but she could very easily... She has the platform to denounce the decisions, but she won't. Same with Barbara Bush. Don't blame her for doing all the awful things George Bush did, but you could totally blame her for not saying that they were bad decisions. I hear whine. You could totally blame the wives for saying you had a platform, you chose to not say anything against it. Yeah, he's your husband. Who cares? You could have said something nice about the kids. You could have done something about it. And by the way, if you used your platform, maybe things would have changed. And of course, they're not. Their heart's not there.
They don't give a shit.
They don't give a shit.
Later, she tried to say it was about the press, which is the biggest piece of garbage I've ever heard. Also, did you like my Foley work? My wine Foley work?
I did. I heard it. It sounded delicious.
Did it sound real?
Sure.
It was literally me pouring wine. Yeah, so, God, that was a really hard month. That was a really hard month to be confronted, Dane. And not to say what we went through is in any way on the scale of what like those actual kids are going through, but like to be faced with it
and not have much that you could do either.
Right.
It's just you watch it.
It very much started feeling like 1930s Germany of like losing control over the moral direction of our country and
all the people in a place to do something
won't.
decide. Yeah, they won't. They're all Jeff Flakes.
It's just, hey, Dottie, do you need to play with your squeaky toy? She's mad because I was gone for 5 days.
Yes.
She's showing off for me. She did bury a chipmunk in her suitcase. So it's not a real chipmunk. It's a little squeaker guy.
Mm-hmm. But it is frustrating that so many of these people who could have said something, could have done something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the first thing Jeff Flake did now after the midterm elections was like, I'm not going to vote for your judges unless you do X, Y, or Z.
Right.
And that actually had an impact.
Right.
It's like, where were you for years?
So fucking
you had all these opportunities to do something meaningful. You abdicated every time. It's like, how many Republicans, how is it possible that the entire damn party doesn't have a single person in it with a bit of a backbone to say, this isn't my party anymore? Like the John McCain thing where you like give the thumbs down. Mm-hmm. That was a big deal.
Right.
And Susan Collins and Murkowski from Alaska, like, good on them. You could have had that much leverage over everything, and you chose not to do it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's fucking gross.
Every Republican, especially in the Senate, like, responsible for all of this. Mm-hmm. All of it. Because they could have said no.
Everybody's complicit.
Every single one of them is complicit.
One of them is complicit.
And none of these people who are retiring should get off the hook either.
No, and the only thing that helps me sleep at night, and that's not to say it's going to undo any of the damage that they've actively done to people. Like, the thing I've been hearing a lot is like, well, we survived that. We can survive this. A lot of people didn't survive that.
Yeah.
A ton of people didn't survive that.
Whatever
abstract that you're talking about, I bet you not everybody survived.
I've said a lot of things. I've made videos about this where I argued that I kind of could understand how you can be an atheist who is a conservative with economics and other stuff. I don't understand how you could be an atheist who actually cares about church-state separation and no religious influence over the decisions we make policy-wise.
Right.
And then say you're a part of this Republican Party because you're basically saying, you know, all that atheist stuff, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, one of these things you got to put to the side. Mm-hmm. And if you're an atheist who's voting Republican, you're saying, all that atheist stuff that I care about, science, education, no, I don't. That stuff is low priority for me. I don't get it. And I've gotten criticism for that from people who are like, that's like, just because you're an atheist doesn't mean we know how you vote politically or that you have to vote politically in a certain way or anything. But it still doesn't make any sense how you could say, I'm voting for people who are going to oppose science and education and reason-based policies and just flat-out cruelty. We just want to hurt people because that's all this administration is doing. Like, troll the libs is their entire platform.
Jesus.
I don't know how you could support that and say you care about issues as an atheist.
Right.
The hypocrisy there doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I mean, really, if you are still, say, homophobic as an atheist, then, like, sorry, you're just an asshole. Like, you can't even cloak yourself in theism. Like, you're just a dick who thinks two boys having sex is gross, and so you want to strip people of their rights. Like, sorry, dude, I think your sex is gross. Like, you don't hear me trying to fucking take away your rights. Right. Maybe I will. Coming for you, weird dudes.
What month are we in?
We're still in June.
All right.
Okay. Is that code for we're going too slow?
No, we're fine. Keep going.
Trump pardoned Dinesh D'Souza.
Oh, fuck that guy. Jesus.
Yeah. Any other?
I don't have any other thoughts on it. He's the same guy he always was. The funniest thing about his pardon is they basically said, like, when you get a pardon, you're saying you were guilty.
Right.
And you're accepting the pardon as a result. And D'Souza's like, there was a witch hunt. I wasn't guilty. They're like, but by accepting the pardon, you are accepting guilt.
Right.
And he's trying to say, no, that's not what I... No, that's literally the definition of what you're doing. You're too dumb to even understand how pardons work.
How do you think that even happened?
The Dinesh D'Souza thing?
Yeah.
Because conservative, the Fox News folks that he listens to are all like, you should forgive this guy. He's the most, witch-hunted guy out there.
I thought that was Trump. He told me it was Trump.
Yeah, and so Trump just does whatever they want him to do. And then he'll throw in a token other random person and pardon them.
Just sort of mask it.
Yeah.
I was just doing these two boys today.
Yeah.
Do you remember that Trump and Kim Jong-un had a meeting?
Sure.
With nobody was there, were they? Or is that Putin that I'm thinking of? That there was just a translator in the room.
Oh, that was with Putin, where there's only translators in the room. It might have been with Kim Jong-un too. But again, foreign policy stuff he's not good at, and America doesn't know what's going on.
Right.
Because he won't say. Again, we don't have anyone in the room who knows what they're talking about.
Right. For good shit that happened in June. That rapper was, I don't care. Okay, sorry. Swimsuit competition was dropped from Miss America.
Okay.
That was a huge leap forward in women's rights. Do you have thoughts on beauty pageants?
They seem silly.
Yeah, that's kind of where
I mean, again, they've gotten a little better because they're actually... I saw some mashup video where they were like, they're asking the competitors tougher policy questions than the politicians who actually...
Yeah.
On morning news shows on Sundays.
Right.
So I appreciate that, but I don't know. I haven't watched any of those pageants forever.
Mm-hmm. Forever? Does that mean you watched them at one point?
They were on TV, and I'd be like, oh, I've seen them in the past. I haven't seen one in forever. I think the last thing I remember about pageants is John Oliver did a bit saying their scholarship money isn't even
bullshit.
helping.
Yeah. What else happened in June? Paul Manafort went to jail.
Good. Keep going.
The Masterpiece Cake Shop decision came down, which I put under good things. Because even though it technically wasn't in our capital O, our favor...
Right.
It wasn't good for
It was a decision that said, look, we're saying you win this case because of a technicality, but if someone else could file a lawsuit against you, and they have every right to do it, and that's exactly what's happening. So the same case is going back to the court. I can't imagine it's going to change, to get back up there.
Right.
So it's getting back to... They're going to have to rule on the merits of whether... your religion gives you the right to discriminate against people in a public space. That is an important decision the court has to consider, and it's very possible they say, if you have a sincerely held religious belief, then yeah, you can get away from discrimination laws, anti-discrimination laws, which would be a horrible thing.
Right.
Because again, just like Christians think they're being persecuted because they have to serve cake, and then they want to know what you're going to do with it.
Right.
And if they don't like what you're going to do with it, they say they should have the right to discriminate against you.
So what do you say to people who say, I'm a private business, I should be able to pick who I serve?
You can't. That's literally what the public laws say, which is you can't just say, oh, you're black, I'm not going to serve you. I think people get that. That would be awful. You can't put up a sign that says no Jews allowed in this store. And yet what they're saying is, oh, you're gay and you want a cake, the same cake I would sell to a straight couple. You want to use it for your wedding?
Right.
Well, I don't like what you're using it for, so I'm not going to take your money.
Yeah.
Again, once they buy the product, they're not saying make a cake that says, I love gay people. They're not asking you to violate your beliefs. They're saying that thing you're already selling, I want one. Let me buy it. Here's the money. You can't say, oh, you're gay and you're going to use it for
I
weddings.
need to put a tracker chip on this cake to make sure it goes nowhere near gay people.
It goes way beyond hate speech. They're not asking you to violate your conscience. They're saying, just give me the thing you're already selling. That's all they want.
I feel like that when I'm just trolling people on Facebook, that is the thing I see most frequently is if I own a private business, I should be able to pick and choose who my customers are.
Fine, put up a sign in front of your door that says no Jews, no atheists, no black people.
But also
put up a sign. Tell us who you want to discriminate against.
Yeah.
Here's what I don't get. I've never seen anyone say, we'll take you up on that. You don't see these anti-gay Christian bakers say, we'll put up a sign on the door that says no gays allowed, or no gay wedding couples allowed.
Right.
Because if they did, they know they would alienate a lot of straight people too, who would be like, well, I'm not giving you my business then. And they're trying to hide it until a gay person comes in for that specific purpose.
Yeah.
So it's like, look, if you want to be bigots, we got to make sure everyone knows you are bigots. And that's what happened, I think, in Australia. Not the same laws, but in Australia, I think there was a Christian couple that ran a wedding magazine.
Yeah.
We talked about this. And one of their photographers was going to photograph like a gay couple getting married, and the couple running the wedding magazine said, no, we don't want gay couples, same-sex couples in the magazine.
Right.
And she told people about it. She's like, these people are anti-gay, which they are. And then all the other advertisers, like, they fled.
Right.
They're like, well, then we don't want to put our business with you. We'll go to somewhere else. Those things are a dime a dozen.
Right.
And, like, good. That's what should have happened. No one feels bad for you.
Right.
No one was forcing you to do something you didn't want to do. But if you're going to be a bigot like the cake guy, let's let the world know this guy is an asshole. If you want to do business, go anywhere else.
Right.
And again, no, they shouldn't be allowed to discriminate because, like you said, it's like putting a tracking device on the cake. Once they buy it from you, your job is done. It doesn't matter what they do with your product. That's a separate issue. Stop making a big deal out of it.
Right.
So again, that case is going to go back to the Supreme Court. They will rule on it. And now the makeup of the court is different. So we don't know how this is going to go.
Ariana Grande and Pete Davidson got engaged after 2 months. Tell me who one of those people are.
Saturday Night Live.
Which
I do
one?
watch SNL.
Oh, do you?
So
Okay.
I know of the relationship. Again, I think my reaction was the same as everyone else's, which is like, why are they together? But okay, they're together and this won't last. And then it didn't last. And then, but again, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Okay.
I don't care.
Can I tell you, like, my basic bitch confession, which was like, I was fucking rooting for those two kids.
No, you were not.
I was.
Why?
I'll tell you why. Because Pete Davidson is like, he has been a person in borderline like he's a celebrity, right? We'll call him a
Okay,
celebrity.
right.
And he has been extremely frank and open about his struggles with mental health
Right.
and addiction.
Like he joked about it on the show. He does
Oh my
it in
god,
his
he has
stand-up.
BP. He has borderline personality disorder. He just got sober. I think he's still sober. He is a guy who has dealt with a lot of shit. And he seems like a perfectly fucking affable guy. Like whatever. Ariana Grande is flawed, but also is sort of like a badass feminist lady. She she got interviewed. There's a few clips I've seen of her like being interviewed by somebody, and they ask her like something like, making fun of her for being a girl, and she's like, "No, fuck you, I'm a goddamn woman. Like I run my thing." Like she seemed like I think she did a dumb thing licking a donut and said she hated America. But listen, who among us hasn't done
even
both
know
of
what you're
those
talking
two
about.
things? Somebody knows. Anyway, I just wanted those two kids to work it out. I just needed something good and pure in this lifetime.
And that's the thing you were pinning your hopes on?
Listen, Hemmant.
Uh-huh.
Okay, right now I am more invested in the relationship between David and Patrick on Schitt's Creek than I am in any relationship in my own life. So, like, yeah,
sentence made
do
no
I
sense
have
to me.
problems externalizing my feelings? I do. Somebody who listens to Schitt's Creek knows that and understands it.
Uh-huh.
And you hear me. Is it bad if I just start sending coded messages for my friends who I know?
I
listen
assume
to
you
the
do that
show?
all the time anyway.
Yeah, I know. It's like the equivalent of Celine Dion tugging her ear. Is that a thing you
No,
know?
that's not Celine Dion.
Yeah.
She does that too?
Oh, Carol Channing used to do that. Celine Dion also did that. Of like when they're on stage and
Okay.
they like tug their ear, like poke their nose or whatever weird thing. It's their like way of saying I love you
Okay.
to whomever.
Go on.
It's a real thing.
Sure.
It's really hard to sneak in on podcasts. Oh, okay. So July. Wait, hold on.
When
Did
I
I
give
get
you the
to?
middle finger, I'm saying...
Fuck you, Evan.
Uh-huh.
Oh, mass shootings in June up to 51.
Oh,
I think
hey.
that was the highest in any one month, if I remember correctly.
Uh-huh.
It's summertime. July. So the straw ban thing happens.
Oh, right.
We never talked about it on this podcast.
Right. I have used a not plastic straw.
They're the fucking pits.
They are.
The fucking
I didn't
worst.
realize how bad they were.
No, they're terrible.
Yeah.
I said that in a really weird accent. Here is my thought on the straw ban.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel better for not contributing to pollution, to not use a straw, to elect not to use a straw, to use a tin straw or a metal straw or whatever, that's great. And I think that's fine. And I think if that makes you sleep better at night, that's wonderful. However, I feel like I'm seeing a lot of consumers being made to bear the moral brunt of pollution when realistically consumer-made trash is not the biggest problem we're facing right now. The biggest problem we're facing are large-scale factories and the trash they produce and the waste they produce. And
it's like buying something frivolous and saying, I'm doing it because I'm helping the economy.
yes.
Like, you haven't done anything.
Like, you're
but all right.
Yes, technically, you're not wrong. But to say that Hemet is the problem because Hemet uses 2 straws a week and that's fucking our oceans up, I don't think that is... I think all that's doing is just shaming people and giving people sort of a holier-than-thou platform, which I just frankly don't think is especially helpful. The same thing with, like, food waste. Like, there's billboards all over the Chicagoland area that are talk about, like, you throw out an egg and you waste 35 gallons of water or whatever, or, like... And they say, like, whatever, X amount of food is thrown out by U.S. families. And I'm not saying that's good or okay or whatever. But that's not, like, our food waste shortage generally isn't happening in our homes. It's happening, again, at the large factory production scale. So it feels a little bit like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound or, like, guilting somebody to put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound because that's not, like, me throwing out a straw.
By the way, when I used the non-plastic straws, I believe I used about 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, but they're paper, so they dissolve. And that's the point. They dissolve, so they're fucking terrible straws.
Yeah.
By definition, they're terrible, but they also don't create as much waste. Like, it's fine. I hate paper straws with everything in my heart. But, like, when I'm having a Bloody Mary, I can't just drink it.
And it was the default option at the place I was at.
No, it's genuinely the fucking worst thing. And, like, listen, and I don't want anybody to at me about, like, whatever, save your shit. My point is, yes, saying maybe we should reduce our use of plasticware is a good start. Maybe a better start is looking at the fucking large scale that our factories put out and their emissions and not worry as much about does your car get 32 gallons or 32 miles per gallon versus 35 miles per gallon. I think it's getting caught up of seeing the forest for the trees. Anyway, that was my thing. That's my lecture on straw ban. Oh, my God. People are going to super at me, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's fine.
All right, you're running through the rest of the year.
You told me we didn't have a time limit.
Then I realized we do.
It's 6 o'clock? Okay. July. Kavanaugh was nominated. I remember where he was. It was the fucking pits. I almost cried.
I was surprised. I didn't think it would be him because he was not...
I was surprised.
A good conservative candidate necessarily doesn't mean he's going to vote the way I want him to vote.
No.
But he had a lot of unknowns. The stuff we did know wasn't great.
Yes.
And then that's before all the drama happened with the allegations. They had so many easy conservative Scalia, Thomas-like options, and they went with like the worst possible one of them. Which, again, strategically, even if you're a conservative, it doesn't make sense.
Stupid. It's so fucking dumb. Trump, Putin.
And by the way,
he
has turned out to be exactly as his critics said he would be. I think he's lying low for now. Like, he hasn't said, let's hear this abortion case.
Oh, he hasn't?
Like, there was one time when, you know, if he had been for it, they probably would have heard the case. But he said no. Like... And you wonder, is he going to turn on them on abortion rights or stuff? And I think it's more likely he's like, I don't want to deal with this my first year on the court.
Yeah.
Let me just play it. Let me lie low for a little bit.
Right.
And then, Because, like, when he does vote, though, he votes conservative.
It's going to be such a fucking bad visual.
So those people who are like, John Roberts is a swing vote. He's not a swing vote.
Right.
He's a conservative.
Right.
He's just a conservative who has some time, who cares about the visuals of the court more than he cares about winning a lot of these things. So he's like, well, if we always vote all 5 of us all the time the same way, people are going to stop taking us seriously.
Right.
So occasionally he'll throw liberals a bone.
Right.
But it's a bad situation.
What
God, I hope RBG lives for another 2 years.
Forever. Oh, she will. She's unkillable. What I think about a lot, so I listen to a lot of like true crime stuff, and so they talk through trials and a lot of things like pre-1995. I was going to say like in the 60s, but it was up until pretty recently. They talk about like this black man was convicted with basically no real evidence. It's all circumstantial. 11 out of the 12 jurists were white. 12 out of 12 jurists were white. And I feel like that's what it's going to look like in 20 years when we're looking back at kind of the shit that's going on in the Supreme Court now of like, the 5 men on the Supreme Court voted against women's care, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, okay. First of all, you just told me to run through, and you went on a tangent, so how fucking dare you?
Yes.
Les Moonves from CBS. That all happened. California wildfires started in July. 86 were killed. At the time, it was the deadliest, most destructive in California history. Wait, are those still going on, or are we looking at new wildfires?
I think we're done with those.
New wildfires that are happening?
Yeah.
Or are they donezo for the year?
They're donezo.
Okay. A woman climbed the Statue of Liberty. That was pretty fun. That soccer team in Thailand was evacuated from the cave. Elon Musk really showed his cards there. He's a great
rescuer, a pedo.
He's a grade A creeper, and apparently doesn't like when people do things better than him. Sorry, Elon Musk. Nobody podcasts better than me and Hammett. Hammett
if you
dunked
send
on
me a Tesla, I will apologize.
Hammett dunked on an 11-year-old because
how is this on your list?
It's the best thing that happened in July 2018. That kid who got his associate, because there's a college graduate, and you're like, he got his associates.
It's not the same. I just read about a 16-year-old who's apparently graduating from high school and Harvard in the same week because he's been taking classes through Harvard. So he's getting things. So I'm reading this article, and at one point it said he believes in the law of like, it's kind of the secret, the law of like, if you want something, then you will have it. And I'm like, you are not smart. What are you doing? And then I was ready to talk about him, and then I realized today's the Week in Review, so I put that to the side.
Wait, he did another thing?
It's a different kid.
Oh, God.
But the kid who is like this supposed genius also believes a lot of dumb stuff.
Cool. In July, there were 46 mass shootings. August, Aretha Franklin died, which was tragic. Kofi Annan, former UN Secretary General. John McCain died 25th. I would like to briefly reflect on John McCain. So I've talked about a lot. One of my favorite podcasts is The Dollop, and Dave Anthony writes all of them, and it's all American history, and it's like a deep dive into shit you didn't know happened, whether it's a figure, whether that's an event, and then he tells it to his friend Garth Reynolds. They're both comedians, so they kind of riff and have fun. Something happened in 2016, and his episodes have gotten a lot more serious. I don't know what happened, but in the last 6 months, Dave Anthony wrote stories about both John McCain and George H.W. Bush, and just sort of delved into their life and their legacy and what they actually did versus what they were touted as doing. And I would just recommend giving that an old listen because it's not great. August, we also learned the depth of the Catholic Church cover-up.
The
sexual cover-up. That was rough. Peter Strzok was fired. Do you remember Peter Strzok?
The CIA guy.
Who talked shit via text with his mistress or something.
Yeah, but it wasn't even that much shit. Like everyone in any workplace talks shit. The question is, what is he doing? What are his actions as a result of that? And nothing he did while on the job.
Literally nothing. And that was when they were talking about
biased.
Well, and I think it was Peter Strzok that he and his girlfriend were like made a joke about the secret shadow government, and Fox News was like, "Did y'all know there was a secret shadow government? We have to look into this." God. I'm sorry, that was a really offensive accent. I just spent a lot of time in the South, and it's a really satisfying accent to do. Louis C.K. started performing again, and my head exploded. Lawrence Krauss lost his job officially.
He resigned. He didn't lose it.
Fine.
He chose to leave so they wouldn't investigate him.
Toys R Us is Toys. Oh, how do you pluralize that one?
Toys is R Us.
Toys R's Us. Toys R Us closed. That was just in August. That feels like a million years ago. Let's see. Oh, God. Asia Argentino. She was a Weinstein victim. She was accused of sexual assault on a minor. That fucking was rough.
That was interesting. Wasn't that Anthony Bourdain's girlfriend?
Look it up. You're on your phone instead of listening to me.
Right.
Asshole. You guys don't know how much time Hemant spends on his phone when we do this. Every time I'm monologuing, it's because I know Hemant's like checking his Twitter. And I'm like, I really got to fill it out for him. August. Crazy Rich Asians crushed the box office. Thanks, Kate. First major Hollywood film with an Asian cast in 25 years. Did you see Crazy Rich Asians?
No.
Do you consider yourself Asian?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Thank you.
No. Indian.
Because I think it's because I hear West Asian all the time, and as somebody, I grew up with like a huge Indian Pakistani population, and so to me, Asian and Indian,
they should be.
They're technically both Asian. Yeah. Technically, it's
but
just
I usually think of Asian as like East Asian.
East Asian, yeah.
By the way, Asia Argento was dating Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, was she?
Which kind of puts all that in a different light. But all of the Asia Argento stuff came out publicly after he died. Which makes you wonder, like, how much of this did he know?
That's not great. Okay. In August, there were 35 mass shootings in the United States. Also, most of this is U.S. based. Again, I took a vacation instead of doing research. Sorry, everybody. Okay, moving on to September. Burt Reynolds died.
Really?
Wait, really? You didn't know he died?
Forgot.
Okay.
Mac
Miller died. Do you know who Mac Miller is?
Singer.
He's
Ariana Grande's former boyfriend.
Oh
Look at me.
God.
Look at me. Did I look that up?
You can name two
No.
of Ariana Grande's exes.
Ask me to name his songs.
Oh, I can't even.
I cannot.
Can you name any of Ariana Grande's songs?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. The Kavanaugh hearings happened. So Christine Blasey Ford.
Is that September, you said?
Septiembre.
Jesus.
That's Spanish. I'm bilingual.
Yeah.
I'm so tired and have drunk already. Yeah. I remember watching the hearings. I did
watch the whole.
I didn't.
Too much.
I did not. I watched Christine Blasey Ford in total. I took Dottie to the park. I must have had a day off or something like that, or I just left. I was working from home and like took a minute off because I just could not deal with watching him. And I got home and it was literally like, Mikey was like, "You watched it, right?" I was like, "No, I couldn't." He's like, "You need to." Like it was so much worse than I ever expected. It was so.
I can't believe he got confirmed after what I saw.
After that performance, after that better watch out what's coming, or like his veiled threats to Democrats.
We still have yet to see what happens when Democrats file a lawsuit.
Hey, Dottie, you don't need to do that, actually.
I'm very curious what happens if, when there's a lawsuit by the government or something, will they ask Kavanaugh to like recuse himself because of the statements he's made? We don't know the answer to that, and that'll be an interesting thing to see. So,
well, and you would think he would have to because he has shown himself to be incredibly biased.
Yeah.
Like it's the fucking. Look, I remember when that came out. It was not just he shouldn't be on the Supreme Court, but like we need to look at this man can be a judge at all.
Right, and because he made it to the Supreme Court, they dropped all the cases against him.
Oh, and that just God, did that just happen this week?
Maybe.
There is just no precedent for. What world are we like wading into? There's just no precedent for any of this, and everything in American law seems to lean on that. You realize
how flimsy our democracy is? We depend on everyone following the rules, but if one side with all the support that they have, says, "Yeah, we just aren't going to play by the rules."
Yeah,
you
and
realize,
there's no
they can
recourse
do
for
that.
them.
They just get to.
The detention of migrant children hit its highest level in September. The Nike ad supporting Colin Kaepernick came out.
Yeah.
What I really enjoyed about that happening was that how mad it made conservatives. Them getting like their panties in a twist over the dumbest shit just brings me so much joy.
You're mad at a Nike commercial.
It's so the personification of old man shouts at cloud. Have you seen that Simpsons?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I just never know.
I know internet memes. I don't know pop culture otherwise, but
so that made me really happy just to like watch people lose their shit.
Yeah.
The other thing, I think, or at least maybe like in the circles I ran in and the podcasts I listened to, it started a kind of interesting discourse in the place that capitalism has in this sort of social justice movement, because a lot of people were like, let's not pretend the Nike's the heroes. They used sweatshops. Like they were in hot fucking water. So like they're not like the city on the hill when it comes to...
They calculated they would make money by using Kaepernick, and they did.
And so when we talk about like how does capitalism and
maybe if
social
anything,
justice work?
All these companies realize that taking sides on these political social justice issues is a business decision you have to make. And Nike figured, you know what? Colin Kaepernick's side is the one that's going to make us money.
And
let's take it.
And that makes me feel icky.
Yeah.
Because it's not as if Nike exists in a bathroom. God damn it.
Yeah.
In a vacuum.
Yeah.
Because Nike is part of pop culture. So it's not
There will be a time when like Cocoa Puffs is the Democrat cereal and Cinnamon Toast Crunch is like what Republicans eat.
Oh, God.
It's coming.
Switch those. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is my fucking jam. Anyway, I just think it's an interesting way to look at like how capitalism drives our economy and our society, because the fact that that Nike made a social justice stance affected the conversation about social justice. And
Though Colin Kaepernick is still not on the team. So.
I mean, like, I'm not, if I'm being honest, maybe not playing football is probably the right choice for almost any human. So maybe they're saving Colin Kaepernick's life.
Maybe.
And like, he's doing fine. And I want to be clear, he deserved to pursue his job of choice, and that was quarterback for the 49ers.
Quarterback.
49ers?
Go on.
Is that the San Francisco team?
Sure.
Okay, so that's August.
September.
September. Okay. Did that. There was a live proposal on the Emmys. Kate, I'm sorry, I don't remember that.
I don't remember that.
I'm here to support you, Kate. Harry Potter books turned 20. Kate just got a Harry Potter tattoo, so I think she's doing some self-serving there, Kate.
I'm a couple years away from reading them again for the kids.
Oh, are you? You've read
they're
them,
not
right?
old. I've read them.
Okay.
The kids are not old enough, so.
So I have a niece and nephew who are about to be 9 and 12. They're my husband's niece and nephew, technically. And they finally gotten to an age where I'm foisting all of my, like, they're at the age that I was when I loved to read. So I was like, I'm going to get them books I liked. And Mikey was like, what if we get them a book they want and a book you want for them? And I was like, that's fine.
Yeah.
And so Christmas morning was a lot of me being like, the Phantom Tollbooth is really good. I think you should give it a try. You might not like it. It's okay. But it was a lot of me. My niece and nephew, bless their hearts, they're such good kids. They put up with a lot from me. October, Kanye West visits. Oh, what did I do? Shootings. There's only 9.
Oh, look at
9
that.
in September. Good
That's
job,
good.
U.S. You're really living your life. October, Kanye West. I turned 33.
Congrats.
It's not on this list. Kate forgot it, I guess.
Yes.
Kanye West
the White
visited
House?
the Oval Office. Kavanaugh was confirmed. That's another thing I remember. I was at a conference for work.
Susan Collins, what the fuck?
Fucking okay.
She's up again in 2020.
I might have to get my feminist card revoked for the shit I said about. I was walking Dottie around the neighborhood and just cussing. See, I was fucking furious because she did this whole speech and it started as like believe women. And then it just, I was as angry as I have been in a long time. It felt like a personal slight.
And she didn't just vote for him. She gave a speech
enthusiastically.
defending him.
Oh, fuck that shit. I was furious.
So what I'm wondering is how Democrats in Maine, can you find a candidate to oppose her? Can you make that person hold this against her effectively?
I hope so.
Because she's popular in Maine, but like maybe not as popular, especially if you
Maine
get
is a
someone
really
good. Maine is not Alabama.
No.
Like it's hard to get a candidate in the southern states, but we saw a couple close ones.
Yeah,
but in Maine,
I mean, and
you
Maine,
put up a liberal candidate who's seriously liberal, who knows how to throw this back against her.
Maine is a really interesting state demographically speaking, so I'm very curious to see what happens. A friend of mine, Kate's, his family is from Maine, and we're always like talking shit at him about like fucking Susan Collins as if it's Jeremy's fault. Oh God, do you remember? Okay, the bomb. This is October. This is 2 months ago. The bomb threats or the bombs that were mailed out to prominent Democrats.
Yeah,
Wasserman Schultz, Holder, Harris, the Clintons, Waters, the Obamas, Soros, and. It's not even the biggest thing that happened in October.
Yeah, people just forgot about that because it's Democrats and it didn't go off. Imagine if that happened to Trump, he would still be making a deal of it today.
No, 100%. And like they would be literally crucifying themselves over it. Sandra Day O'Connor announced that she has dementia in October. I do think, I'm sure there's a better think piece out there than I could ever just like speculate about. But I think it's interesting that Sandra Day O'Connor and Clarence Thomas are both a woman and a black man, and they're both conservatives. And I'm just curious about the visuals of that, like of a Republican wanted to put a conservative on the bench, but they knew the visuals about appointing yet another white dude were
Trump
not
didn't
great.
Care about.
Trump did not give a fuck about. That was a
Sandra Day O'Connor, like for all the things, being the first woman on the court and a Reagan appointee, she left and let a conservative president appoint her replacement, which would undo all the stuff she said she cared about.
Right.
I still, for the life of me, do not understand why she retired when she did, because even until that dementia announcement, she was alive and kicking and doing work. Why she left as early as she did still doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And letting someone be her replacement to undo everything she did seems foolish in hindsight. She was never a liberal, really.
Right.
But she was a liberal vote on some stuff.
Right. But she was, again, a Republican appointee. Anyway. The Michigan pharmacist who refused meds to a woman who was having a miscarriage. And he wouldn't give her medication due to his religious beliefs. So that's cool. Ariana Grande. God damn it, Kate. Ariana Grande and Pete Davidson broke up.
God, I don't care.
Okay, listen. Here's the thing is... I got back from Louisville. I thought I had 2 hours. I had an hour and a half, and I enlisted Kate, so I didn't get to proofread this. So it's your fault. Oh God, Jamal,
Khashoggi.
Khashoggi, is that how you say it? Was murdered in Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
What is happening in this world?
They know that if you kill a journalist, Trump's going to be on your side, or he's not going to be against you. So it's going to happen again, I'm sure.
Yeah. But we're in October of 2018. So the first thing I put is I'm so petty. Sears declared bankruptcy because earlier this year I had a phone interview with them, and then they offered me an interview and they rescinded it because they saw I swore on my Twitter, and then they went bankrupt. I'm like, yeah, fuck you, Sears. How fucking dare you? I can't believe they missed out on this qualified candidate because my pinned tweet is
for the work you could have done for 2 months. Did they tell you? Did they tell you that's why?
Yeah. Super told me. I talked about it on this very show. Okay. And then after my parents listened to it, they called and yelled at me. But 2018, October 2018, highlight was
What happened?
The election.
That's November. What are you doing?
Oh, I put it in the wrong month, Hammond.
Shrink. November was it? Okay, I will tell you.
Okay,
this.
let's go. Wait. Before we leave October. Oh, you know why? It doesn't matter. 31 mass shootings in October, so really spiking that up. Okay, let's talk about the elections in 2018, which happen traditionally in November.
They do. No, I'm glad. I hope Democrats can figure out how to leverage that win in the next few years. What is interesting for me, and this is the thing I've talked about a little bit in front of audiences and stuff, is I had been keeping track of like non-religious people openly, non-religious people running for office, and the number's always been like a dozen, maybe. And I found out in 2018 that there were like over 50 who weren't just on the ballot, like they won their races at the statewide level or higher, like 50 people who are openly non-religious. That's a huge deal. Shows you that, and they're, by the way, they're from all over. They're not from the states you would expect. They're from all over the place. And just shows you, like, if you're a good candidate, and you're in a place where their liberals are looking for somebody, it really doesn't make a difference if you're not religious. It doesn't hurt you as much as you might think it does.
Right.
All the more reason for more people to come out and say that.
And it's been such a big change in such a short amount of time. Because, again, like the first year I was writing for Friendly Atheist
I'll be tracking it for a long time.
Right. But, like, the 2012 election, like, I don't remember that many, like, names. And it was a very big deal if somebody was just like, this person checked non-religious, but they don't talk about it.
Right.
So it's changed,
there's
I think,
like
really
10
quickly.
members of Congress who are, I'm not answering this question.
Right.
But only one right now who's openly non-religious.
Right.
And that's not changing. The Congress wasn't really affected at all. Though Kirsten Sinema won her Senate race. She's unaffiliated, I think, is her label.
Right.
But a lot of statewide races. That's a huge deal. And I imagine that's only going to go up.
Yeah, and it's as millennials and whatever the next Generation Z, is that what they're calling them? That's bullshit. That's a terrible naming convention. They literally just shot themselves in the foot for Generation AA. Stupid. It's only going to be easier because I think not only people are people starting to care about religion, starting to be less religious, but they're also starting to care about religion less as when it comes to like, if you're religious, you're also moral because
you could see that in action.
Yeah, because people my age and our age and younger have grown up knowing the Catholic Church was covering up sexual abuse. So it's really fucking hard for them to be like...
And white evangelicals are people who are hypocrites and who support awful things in the name of awful ideas.
Awful ideas, awful people, all of those things. George H.W. Bush died. That was another interesting... again, also, The Dollop did an episode about George H.W. Bush, and yikes, I'm going to say, on that is just a strong yikes across the board. And again, it brought up this thing of like, oh, remember, George H.W. Bush harkened back to a time of civility, and we could disagree while still being friends.
Tell that to people who had AIDS in the 80s.
Yup, and also this is what makes me mad when people talk about like, well, back in my day, I don't know whose voice I'm doing. Back in my day, you would vote you'd vote against something for somebody, but then you'd go get a beer with him after Congress closed?
Sure.
Adjourned? And like, yeah, that's great, but if you were voting against like providing health care for humans and you're like, whatever, it's just politics. It's not just politics. It's literally people's lives.
You have to realize the people who say that, we should be bipartisan. It's both sides do this.
Yeah.
These are people who have very little to lose on the policies that are getting passed.
It's just chess for them. It's human chess.
It's just a
game.
And
they watch it the way they watch sports.
Yeah.
But it's people's actual literal lives.
There's a guy on CNN who's like, "Oh, will Republicans overturn health care?" Right now, the odds are like 3 chili peppers or something. It's like it's not a game. People are going to die because of what Republicans are doing.
Yeah.
And that's not to say Democrats are perfect, but they're all better than the alternatives.
Yes.
And then let's debate issues.
Yeah.
But right now, there's no debate to be had between one side who just flips the table over and the other side who actually wants to have a conversation.
They want to follow the rules, and the other team is flipping the table. And we're like, well, the Democrats weren't following the rules good enough. Like, no, you're not playing the same fucking game anymore. Creator of SpongeBob, Steven Helberg died.
Oh,
Are your kids in SpongeBob age?
no.
Were you ever like
No.
a 20-year-old stoner who watched?
No.
Have you ever smoked pot?
No.
No. Ruth Bader Ginsburg broke.
I
her
like how that's the
ribs.
conversation from SpongeBob.
Literally, the only people I know who watch SpongeBob's are children or stone 20-somethings. So
I've
like,
been in the room with people who smoke pot.
wow, Hammett.
The funniest tweet I saw was an Indian person who said that his nephew or someone called it like dokla square pants or something because it's an Indian food that's a yellow spongy thing. And I laughed my ass off. And every time I see one of those food things, I'm like, yeah. That is my only connection to SpongeBob.
Hammett, I've been in a room with somebody who smokes pot, Mena. He's just...
Let's talk about how many parties I go to.
You've been to 2 or 3 of my parties.
Yes.
We're not a
Of
big...
your parties.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's all of the parties.
That's all of my parties.
Too. Also, I want to say, I poured Hammett a full glass of wine and he drank it. Usually I
I've been with the kids all day.
Do you want more?
No, I'm
Why?
I gotta drive back.
Oh, well, I don't have to drive anywhere. Filling up. What
I've
time
been
do you
with
have to
them
be
all
gone?
holidays. Oh, we're going 8 hours because I don't have to go home until we're done.
Okay, well then don't ever rush me again. Okay. Ruth Bader Ginsburg broke her ribs, but she's tougher than any of us.
Yes.
So she's cool. And then
Also
also
saw a tweet about that where they're like, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the thing about all of her medical issues is the tweets that come out are like, don't worry, she lost half of her body today, but she is up and running now. You're like, oh my God.
she's a tough gal.
You only find out about how bad it was after the fact, after she's okay.
Right.
Like, don't worry. I know her heart stopped beating, but she's doing fine today.
She's fine. She's
Yeah.
technically born again, so she starts at
Come on,
0.
2 more years, at least.
But you know what? Like, listen, I get it. She's old. She looks very frail.
Yeah.
She is still the sharpest fucking
She is.
mind.
Her mind is there.
And so...
And you know she's not going to pull a Sandra Day O'Connor and retire at any time.
She's missed her Sandra Day O'Connor window, haven't?
Yeah, she's going for life.
And I saw a
Because she
Facebook
understands how important the position is.
Right. I saw a comment that made me especially mad because Ginsburg cast a vote like literally from her hospital bed,
yeah.
and I saw people like, whatever, she wasn't even conscious, she didn't know what she was doing. Like, A, she hella knew. B, my dad got lung surgery and like probably similar surgery to she did, and fucking walked home the next morning. Like. People are tougher than you give them credit for. Also, Bloomkeys are exceedingly stubborn.
Nice. It is entirely possible that you might see, I hope, a Republican justice retire in the next 2 years because they see what's going to happen in 2020.
Yeah.
Before Ruth Bader Ginsburg ever announces a retirement.
Oh, yeah. I'm just... God. Brett Kavanaugh's so young. I'm sorry. I know that's like neither here nor there.
That's the strategy. And by the way, that's where the elections failed for Democrats. Like, it's like, oh, they won the House. That's exciting.
Okay, I don't need to shit all over the... We were always going to... We had no shot at the Senate. So don't act like that's a... Like, don't bring the country down with you, Hammond.
The downside of that is any conversation, all the controversy about Brett Kavanaugh, all the judges, we will no longer have controversies. They will just be passed. And here's the question you should be asking yourself if you're listening. How many judges will Republicans, like unqualified, totally partisan, they're only doing this because now they have power, they are going to get through as many as they want, and Democrats have very little leverage other than raising hell about it.
Yeah.
So they have 2 years to push through all the judges they want. All the more reason for Democrats, if they ever win back the Senate and the presidency, pack the courts and just raise the number. The Constitution doesn't say Supreme Court needs 9.
Right.
Make it a bunch more.
And that's the frustrating thing. And I think we've talked about this before, and I never know what the right thing to do is that the Republicans have refused to play by the rules anymore.
Right.
And the question for me is, do you as a Democrat
flaunt the rules?
Also flaunt the rules and play the new game that they've set up.
I'm reading this lovely book.
What is that?
It's time to fight dirty.
Oh.
Which is awesome. This guy basically saying, yeah, Democrats play by the rules, get screwed every time. The answer is stop being adorable and thinking you have to play by the rules. Do what Republicans do. When you get power, pack the courts. When you get a chance, break California up into 6 states, each of which has 2 senators, and end this shit that Wyoming gets to represent the same number of people as California. Things like this. Just saying, look, if Republicans had your politics, this is what they would do. So go ahead and do it. Make D.C. a state. Make Puerto Rico a state.
D.C., Puerto Rico, Guam even.
Again, those are yes, but also California, you don't need one of them. Break them up. Yeah. And here's why. And he's basically saying, if you want to play dirty, this is what Democrats should do. And who are you to say they shouldn't? Why? Because you just want to play by the rules?
Yes.
Because Republicans refuse to do it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. For me personally, and I'm not the one to...
The book is by David Ferris, who's a Chicago professor, by the way.
Oh, is he? Does he want to come on the show?
Sure. It's fantastic.
But there's something... It's literally just me being happy about having the moral high ground. That's literally all it is.
And look where that's gotten.
It's gotten us literally nowhere. Dottie is now playing with a gingerbread toy
she understands how
that
stupid
my
the
parents
moral high
got her
ground
for
is.
Christmas. Good girl, Dottie.
It's like my kids. They got toys for Christmas. Like, who gave them toys? Do you think they need more toys? They do not.
She doesn't need toys, but they're very fucking adorable. Yeah. So I'm really okay with it. She got a fun Grinch Christmas toy from BarkBox. We started doing BarkBox because I had 2 glasses of wine. And Mikey was like, "Should we do BarkBox?" And I was like, "Yes! It's $25 a month, and you have to do a 6-month commitment." And I was like, "Absolutely." I'm definitely in the financial position to do this. Spend $25 a month on my stupid dog.
Yeah.
Look how cute she is, though. Okay. What a month was I in? Senator O'Connor. Okay, we're into November.
Minutes.
Okay, can you fucking make a decision? Are we on no time constraint or are we on a strict time constraint?
Now we're on a time constraint. 10 minutes.
10 minutes? I have 2 months. Stan Lee died. He seemed like an okay dude, I guess.
Yes.
That missionary was killed on a remote island. That was fine, too. I mean, it's not fine. I want to be clear. Nobody should die.
What's interesting is the conversation about him after we've had the discussions about him.
Yeah.
After all that initial stuff subsided, I really haven't heard much about it. I don't know how it's affected missionaries in the sense that they are changing what they do based on what he did.
Okay.
Well, I don't know the answer to that.
But that's the thing is, it was always, what he did was always capital B bad.
Yeah.
Nobody ever was a missionary. It's like, you're going to go to this island where nobody is supposed to go. So I don't know why they would change anything.
Except for his missionary group that said, yeah, we knew he was going to do it, and here's how we trained for it.
Yeah. Kellyanne Conway.
Lied?
What?
Lied?
Lied. Oh, lied. Yeah, okay. Well, I have to throw a chipmunk.
Yeah.
Good girl, Dottie. If you can hear Dottie running back and forth, it's just so she won't bark at you. Kellyanne Conway blamed a synagogue shooting on anti-religiosity.
Oh, yeah,
How do you feel about that?
Oh, she lied.
Cool. RGP showed back up to work days after breaking ribs. She's the fucking shit. Talked about the election already. Oh, yes. Hemmett was on Fox News in November. Do you care to regale us with any more tales?
No, I didn't get any backlash.
No?
Really. I mean, I don't remember any backlash. So, I mean, it's one of those things where you get the opportunity. I say you should always take it. I don't care if it's Fox News. If they're giving you the platform to talk, even though I'm well aware that they were going to gang up on me and shit. And
how do you feel about it? In whole? Have you watched the whole segment?
I don't know if I have, actually. I remember it. I thought it was believe me, I played Monday Morning Quarterback as much as anybody. I wish I would have said that and this. Because I go in thinking I have 3 things in mind that I really want to say if they set me up for it.
Yeah.
And I'm predicting what they're going to ask me. It worked in one of the cases. Mm-hmm. It did not work in the other. Okay. And then the segment was over. And so the two of the things, I remember I really was hoping I would get a chance to say. Right. I didn't. But again, that's the game you got to play.
Do you want to say it now on the Friendly Atheist podcast, which has approximately the same number of listeners as Fox News?
I remember I was going to say
similar demographics.
If they ever ask me, "Oh, you're a friendly atheist," does that mean other people are not friendly? I think the line I had in my head is, "I'm as friendly as you are, fair and balanced."
Oh,
but I didn't get to say that, and they didn't ask about it. And there was something else they asked about the survey that they had in mind, but they didn't phrase it in a way that I could respond with it. But here's the thing.
Could you repeat that? But could you just change it up a little bit? I've got a real good singer.
No. This week alone, I did see another atheist talk about a Supreme Court case that they're going to hear in the new year about a giant cross in, I think, Maryland. And he did the same thing, by the way. I love that guy. Fred Edwards of the American Human Association was the guest. They also ganged up on him, and they did the same stuff. And I'm like, I saw what he did, which is he went in with one talking point, which is we want a memorial that honors all veterans. And he stuck to that talking point, and he always referred back to that talking point. And I'm like, yeah, I know what he's doing. I know the game he's playing.
Right.
Because it's the same thing. He's had the same training I've had in terms of this sort of thing. He knows what to do.
Is there any media training you've ever gone
I've
through?
been to media trainings at atheist conferences because they're like, look, all of you are activists. Right. So maybe not Fox News, but local news is going to want to talk to you. Like one advice they give is if you say something to a local news anchor where they're asking you a question and it's on tape, like they're going to play it later. If you say something you didn't want to say, start swearing profusely because they can't use that footage then. So it's like, I don't like...
Or they recut it and it looks like you just had a breakdown on camera.
But I've gone to those things. And what they always tell you is, look, when you're on camera, they're probably not going to give you a lot of time to talk. You go in with one or two talking points.
Right.
You always smile, even when you think the camera is not on you, which I tried to do.
I've never seen you smile.
But let me see
your smile. That's not... That's just baring your teeth.
I've been around the kids all day. But again, they're like, you don't know when the camera is going to be on you or not. So always smile and always react. Always react to what the other person's saying, even if you don't think the camera is on you, because you don't know when the split screen is coming.
Oh, yeah.
So I know Tony Perkins was the other guy in my segment, and I know I don't like what he says. So whenever he was saying stuff...
crossed your arms, went...
I didn't cross my arms, but I did give the face... my face gestures were like, what the hell are you talking about? Because it's like, if they are showing my face, I want you to know that even though I'm not talking, here are my reactions.
Right.
Because it's like getting twice the airtime.
Oh.
Right?
You're pretty savvy.
I know what I'm doing. So it was a good experience. I would take it again. I told them, if you need another atheist for another segment, hit me up.
Need another non-white person.
Dude,
Heaven is here for you.
I will fill your quotas whenever you want, Fox.
Can I fill their quotas because I'm not a thin blonde woman? Do you want a chunky brunette who's kind of sassy? November was also the Neil deGrasse Tyson allegations, which were really hard. And here's what I want to say. I think I think we really exhausted what we had to say. I don't think anything new really has come out.
Nothing has happened since. Yeah. The question now is, will National Geographic and Fox, because they're airing Cosmos in March, will they do an investigation? Will they uncover anything we don't already know? Right. And then what? Here's my guess. I don't think they're going to find anything different than what's been reported. I don't think there is going to be any other smoking gun. If I'm wrong, believe me, I will admit it. I don't know that they're going to find anything else. So then the question would become, if they come back and say, we couldn't corroborate the woman who said he assaulted her. The other things we chalk up to he was socially awkward and he shouldn't have done it, but it wasn't egregious.
Right.
If that's what they come back and say, does everything just go back to being normal? And do they just say, all right, we're airing Cosmos because we couldn't corroborate anything and we just go back to normal? And then what happens to him? If he speaks places, do people react? Do they protest it? Does he get a black mark? Like, does he start doing media appearances again? I don't know the answer to that, and that is something that I'd be curious about.
Just since it's sort of flared up, from this very brief perspective, it's only been a month and a half or whatever. It does look like it's going to be a nothing story, and that again, I want to be very clear that like we have no idea what happened, and believing women is just that. It is, I believe your story. Believe a woman doesn't necessarily mean if you say something, that person should be thrown in jail. And I think people get really kind of twisted on that of like, when we say believe women, it doesn't mean everything you say is gospel. It means that what you say your experiences should be listened to and believed. And we should pursue that as heavily as we can, which
Right.
from what my understanding is, it sounds like people were digging down this rabbit hole for years before we even caught wind of it.
Yeah. Again, believing, saying, if you're my friend and you tell it to me, I'll act as if it's all true, and I'll continue. I'll go off of that if I know you and stuff. When it's a stranger who says it, it's I believe you enough to say I'll investigate it, and I'm not just going to ignore you.
Right.
Which is what Fox and National Geographic said they are doing. I don't know what that means in terms of, did they hire an outside party? What sort of investigation are they doing?
Right.
I haven't heard from the alleged victims who said I've been contacted. I haven't heard from anybody who said we've come forth with more stories. You would think more stories would have come forth if they existed. So I'm not saying any of it's true or not true. What I am curious about is if nothing changes, where do we go from here? And I think that's an interesting question.
Yeah, and it's something we're all going to have to bear down. Like, we don't know. I don't know. Most personally, what I want to say is I got after that episode. I think the first half hour was us just talking through it, which is why I didn't want to like dig too much time into it, because I think I've said everything I had to say. Yeah. I don't want to speak for you. And I got a lot of really positive reactions from women who said, like, I appreciate you guys talking through it and being honest with how you feel, and seeing the shades of gray in the Me Too movement, which aren't just you hear one bad thing and that person's ejected, because
it's so easy to caricature either side of this.
Of course.
And so, this is one where it's like, I don't want to dismiss the complaints. I also really like this guy. Right. But if it happened, then I want to talk about that. Yeah.
And the only person that like fucking came after me on Twitter was it was somebody on Twitter. It was a dude. He had a check mark and like as many followers as I do. So like, I don't know who the fuck this guy was. But it made me he made me feel like absolute fucking garbage for 45 minutes, because he was just like, chalk me up as one of the people really disappointed with you, which, whatever. Fucking, I disappoint my parents literally every day. Like, I don't care about you, dude. But it was really interesting that like a couple of my followers sort of probed him and said like, well, what I think Jessica said was XYZ, and I think it's important to listen to people processing their feelings. And it turned out this guy's a fucking asshole, and fuck him. I don't know if you're listening. I don't remember your name. I don't think about you ever. But dude, if you clearly said you're a listener, fuck you. Get the fuck out of my life. Stop telling women that how we process trauma is wrong. Suck my dick.
But if you want to give to Patreon,
wait, we're still in November. We're still in November. Wait,
yes.
Guy who I told to suck my dick, or give us money.
Yes, either one.
You're not absolved.
Right,
I still fucking hate you. Penny Marshall died. That was really, really rough. You know who Penny Marshall is? Do you know what she directed?
I watched Laverne and Shirley, and I didn't see League of Their Own. I know of it.
You know, Daddy is named after that movie, right?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did know that.
Yeah. So that was Penny Marshall, aside from being a director and actress and kind of force of nature.
No.
When she directed Big, which is a very famous Tom Hanks movie, have you seen it?
Yes.
Have you?
A long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's a very entertaining movie. Tom Hanks. It was like a young Tom Hanks who was like his somehow as affable as he is in his 60s. She hit the top grossed film directed by a woman, and then she broke her own record when she directed A League of Their Own. She was a force to be reckoned with and a genius. League of Their Own is my favorite sports movie, top 5 favorite movies of all time. A very real and true loss to the film industry and to kind of professional women in general. Are you laughing at my Penny Marshall?
No.
Are you laughing at something you're reading on fucking your phone?
I am.
What is it? Read it to me.
Share
it with the class.
It's not that good.
Do you have enough gum for the rest of us?
Nice.
Thank you. I would have been a good teacher. Nobody's hosting the Oscars apparently because Kevin Hart was asked. Turned out he was homophobic, or he had a history of I want to be really clear about how I feel about this.
Jokes about gay people,
right?
I don't know if they're jokes or he's serious, because his whole shtick is this is me, this is my family,
right?
But they are jokes. But also, I don't think he's done anything to endear himself to the LGBTQ community.
The problem was all he had to say was, this was a few years ago. I like to think I've grown as a person. I hope I was trying to make a joke. Obviously, I was punching down, and that's not okay. I try every day to better myself and better my craft and better the world of comedy. I would never tell a joke like that today.
Right.
And what he said was like, but I did on the drive back or on the drive down and back from Kentucky. I listened to Guy Branum's book.
Okay. He's a comedian.
He's a comedian. He might be on the show next week.
Look at us.
Yeah, I might have an interview with him. And he had a really interesting talk. He's a comic, brilliant, so funny, wonderful. And one of his favorite comics is Eddie Murphy and I cannot think of this specific thing.
Eddie Murphy's made a lot of jokes that are cringeworthy in hindsight.
Hella cringeworthy. And so Guy Branum talked about like he grew up with this one particular HBO special Eddie Murphy had. He was wearing a red suit. It wasn't Raw, it was a different one.
Oh,
but the beginning was like a slew of homophobia.
Yeah.
And like really bad. And Guy Branum was talking about how he credits Eddie Murphy with his voice in comedy and didn't
Delirious,
yes. And he said he watched it a million times as a kid and then watched it once a couple years ago and was like, this is inexcusably homophobic.
Right.
But there is there is something about accepting something in its time and saying like, yes, Eddie Murphy's Delirious really influenced me as a comic. Also, he probably planted in seeds in me that were homophobic and hated myself and used the F word about gay people, and like those two things can both be true. He could have shaped my comedy voice and also made me feel like ashamed for being gay for my entire childhood and some of my adult life. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
I was boring. RGB had tumors removed from her left lung because she's a fucking champion.
Warriors, RGB.
RBG.
What did I say?
What'd you say?
I don't know.
Pete Davidson.
Why is he on the list this many
because
times?
I let Kate write a lot of this list because I was driving back from Kentucky. What do you want from me?
Okay.
Anyway, Pete Davidson's doing fine. There is some testy moments, but he's doing great. 2 immigrant children have died while in U.S. custody.
Of course.
According to the commenters on
Thanks, pro-lifers.
the WGN Facebook page, which is my favorite place to troll people.
Okay.
Shouldn't have been here in the first place, those infants.
The ones seeking asylum because they were going to get murdered at home. They're the ones who died, and they shouldn't have been here. Yeah.
500 more Catholic priests were accused in Illinois alone.
That's coming in 2019. Even more of that stuff.
We're currently living in a government shutdown because Trump is a whiny child. Thanks for that. That was Kate's editorial.
Nice.
Editorial opinion. Mass shootings in December were just 13, but the month isn't over. That's all I had. Hammond, let's look forward to 2019.
God, let's hope there's less on the shit
Do you have
list.
any resolutions?
No.
You
Keep the kids alive.
What about
my
this
resolution.
show? What do you see for us? It's 250 episodes. We've been doing this for 4 years. We're going to New Year. Just give me some hopes. Hashtag hopes and dreams.
We will try to do a live thing. There's your resolution.
In 2019?
After February, we'll try to do a live show somewhere.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know the tech aspects of it.
We got some shit because I'm doing a meetup in LA. Oh shit, I forgot to write down where we were going.
Yes.
Go to another. I tweeted it. Just look at it.
It's all good.
Somebody was like, "You're doing a meetup in LA before you do one in Chicago where we both live." Listen.
If we don't do a show because I can't get the tech stuff together, we'll do a meetup.
Also, I'm fucking terrified to do it. I think it would be fine. I think it would be great.
We will be glad to see the one of you who will show up.
Yeah. It's my parents.
Done.
They barely like this show. Actively don't like
my
this
parents don't know I have a podcast. It's all good.
Do they know what a podcast is?
No.
Hammett, 250 episodes.
Yay.
Do you have any highlights you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, this is 250. That's the highlight.
It's really impressive.
No, we've talked to some really interesting people. I actually prefer just chatting about the news because this is the only... Otherwise, it's just in my head. And it doesn't...
Yes.
I write stuff, but that's different from talking it out with someone.
Right.
And hearing it and talking it through. So I like that we could do this.
Yeah, and it was all pretty fortuitous because when we started the podcast, I was living in the city, so it just was not realistic to meet up every night.
Right.
Hey, Dottie!
Yes.
Or every
and
week,
now
rather.
everything's better.
Now everything's much better. You have kids. I have a dog. And actually, originally I was going to move to Evanston. Turned out we couldn't afford it. And like had that happen, the fact that I moved a couple miles away from Hemet was
cool.
a coincidence. And you're moving again. Are you going to move further away from me?
I don't know. We're still looking.
Well, I'm grateful we've done this for as long as we. 250 episodes is
that a lot? I don't know how
so many episodes. I mean, well, it's been going on since 2014.
That is true.
Our 5-year anniversary.
Is it?
Yeah, I know. I'm excited. I think this is very cool, and I'm definitely taking advantage of it as well as I can to... Dottie, do you fucking have to?
At the time?
Like, I'm the luckiest idiot in the entire world. Like, I just peer pressured Hemet into starting a podcast with me because I knew he had the name. And now I'm going to LA and I have a couple interviews lined up that I'm really fucking psyched for.
That'll be fun.
I think people will enjoy that.
Good luck with TSA getting this equipment over there.
Well, I'm not a brown man, so I'm infinitely less threatening.
I know. Still.
And yeah, here's to cheers. Here's to great things in 2019.
Hey.
Here's to
Hey.
Do you think
Yep. You got 10 seconds.
For 2019 garbage year in review.
Oh God.
Do we still have a President Trump?
God, I hope not. But we will. But how many I don't know.
How many months? It's 12 months.
No, I was going to say how many other Republicans will go down the tubes with him.
How does President Nancy Pelosi sound to you?
It's not going to happen.
I don't know. I think
too much stuff that would have to go right for that to happen.
Yes, but
how does it sound? I'm all for it.
Yeah, I just think Mike Pence.
She's like Hillary Clinton in that people hate her without actually giving substance behind it. Mm-hmm. It's just like, well, I don't like her politics, so let me tell you 5 other reasons. Like she's a horrible person. Mm-hmm. It's like no, she's fine.
Have we even talked about the meeting between her and Chuck Schumer and Trump? Fuck, I watched that so many times. She ruled that room. I want to tell you my my resolution for 2019. So in the last month, I've been told by 2 people that I care too much about politics and I care too much about the things that we do. And so my resolution for 2019 is to care so much more.
Nice.
Because fuck off.
Yeah, seriously. How do you not care? How do you have the luxury to not care?
I've just had too many people tell me, like, you know, I watch politics like I watch baseball. And I'm like, that's not how life works. That's not how it works for me. If that's how you live your life, that's fine. Anyway, I'm going to triple down on caring on 2018. This is me only at 33% caring.
Right? All right. Hey, if you're listening to this, thank you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for getting through 2 hours, 11 minutes. Jesus.
Wow.
But thank you. We appreciate it. We appreciate your messages. It did not. It felt like 2 hours, 11 minutes.
We just have such nice chemistry. It's just a joy to spend every evening with you.
Thank you, whether or not you give to Patreon. But if you want to give to Patreon, patreon.com/friendlyatheist And we will see you next week with back to regular
Twitter.
news
Hemet's at his name. I'm at Blueberry, BLUEBURIE. Friendly, email us at friendlyatheistpodcast@gmail.com. Don't roll your eyes at me, Hemet.
I'm not. That was me trying to think of the address.
Okay, see you next year, guys.
Bye.